All right. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the HHC podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Moreno, and I'm here with my wonderful brother Juan, and we'll be here with the other two brothers shortly when they get to come in. But, guys, Juan, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. It's like semi-gloomy, semi-good day. Feels good out there, but all in all, doing fine this Sunday morning.
Yeah, I've been having to go through quite a bit of like a desert storm here in Lubbock, so I'll be getting out of Lubbock for the next month or so. So I'm
I'll be
excited to be able
honest,
to
I don't even know what that means.
a desert storm, and it's just a lot of strong winds, a lot of dirt everywhere. Um,
Oh,
skies of brown.
jeez.
um, so it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of wind and dirt in your eyes and stuff like that. It's been an experience to say the least.
Well,
But
down here in San Antonio, it's been like kind of gloomy, like all week and windy, but not dirt, not dirt.
yeah, man, I honestly I can't wait to get back to San Antonio and feel the nice fresh air of San Antonio. But yeah, guys, we come to do this podcast every week. Um, we get on live every Sunday at 10 a.m. to the four platforms of Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All of which you can catch us live, but if you cannot catch us during our live times, the VODs will be on all four platforms right thereafter. Um, Make sure that you do follow us on Twitter at Heroes Half Court, where we do talk Spurs basketball on the near daily. Obviously, that is kind of shutting down with our season coming to a close, with the HHC live podcast coming to a close for our season. But I'm sure throughout the summer we will be talking. We will be interacting with the Spurs community. I know there's been a little bit of talk about a nice little Spurs Twitter tournament that our friend Noah McGraw George is thinking about putting on. So that would be very exciting if we can continue to be part of the community and participate in all that kind of stuff. But
Pretty sure I saw that guy at the Dallas Mavericks game I went to season finale. We were just walking through the halls, and my buddy PJ pointed him out. He's like, "That's that guy." And I think is the other guy Ty Yeager there as well. I'm not too familiar with them, so I didn't like walk up to them to say hi, but they uh they were there repping the Spurs in enemy territory as well. So shout out to them.
Yeah, no, that was. I remember seeing that on Twitter because I think I remember PJ like replying to Noah's tweet or something like that, and then he was like, "I think I saw you guys there." So,
Yeah,
uh, this definitely it was cool to see that kind of stuff though, right? And like you said, it's always good to see more Spurs fans uh, rep when we're in away games and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, uh, Juan, we're wrapping up the season, man. We had a full 82. Chris now able to get on too now. There we go. Like I said, all the brothers gonna be here shortly. But Juan, I'm gonna start it off with you, man. We finished out this whole season. We had our full 82 plus one. How do you feel about that playing game to start off, and then what do you think about our season as a whole?
oh well, the playing game was disappointing. Um, Obviously because we didn't win, and then you can't help but feel like we didn't play our best ball. But in a winner go home scenario, you're gonna tighten up. We've seen game sevens, even in the modern NBA, end with scores like in the 90s, barely cracking hundreds. Things tighten up in those type of games. And I think our guys they tightened up. DeJounte, I know you don't want to make excuses for him because of like he was out like that whole stretch right before the playing game, but DeJounte didn't have a great game. He didn't start the game off well with the fouls. Keldon didn't have a first half. It was just like non-existent, and it's hard to overcome your two best players kind of falling short. So that game was disappointing. They fought till the end. That's kind of been the theme all year. Not like a consolation prize, but like you're happy your guys fight, but at some point it's like kind of wears on you. It's like it's not enough. We gotta get over the hump. But they fought to the very end. At least you'd rather have that. There, I know you guys talked about it last week. On that playoff episode you guys had, like at least it wasn't like the Hawks game where the Charlotte Hornets like were down 20 and it just kept getting like a larger and larger like deficit and like they gave up. Like it looked like they were done. They were frustrated. Guys were like throwing fits and throwing mouthpieces at the crowd. Like that wasn't our team and it never will be. So like it's like there's some pride in that as far as the playing game. The season in general, like I'm happy our guys fought. They tried to make the playoffs. There's not a loser mentality in our locker room. They're hurt. Um, the pain like of losing, you could tell like it's real, but kind of like the whole like effort and oh they keep fighting like the talking after the season ends like we'll never do this again. Like that you can only say that for so long, and it like galvanize the fans and the troops and get you going. Like eventually, we got to make it and show like we belong in this playoff hunt and like all these other because you see like the playoffs now and like these teams, man, they'll be throwing out bad games and the Brooklyn Nets the way they look. Sometimes it's like the Timberwolves blow 2 25-point leads in a game. It's like these teams are not much different and they're not that far off. They're still losing teams like in the playoffs. Like as far as they find ways to lose. And our guys can be there and they can learn in those moments as well. But I think it was a good season. You saw a lot of good stuff from DeJounte. He showed growth. Keldon showed growth. Devin, Primo, Jakob, everybody showed how they can contribute on a winning team. I feel like you just got to find a way to put it all together and take like a next step in a way. Like everybody take a next step. I don't know, or just the team take a next step. But I'm sad, disappointed the team lost. But I can find all the good that would happen throughout the season and be excited for next year.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You're talking about like everybody being able to contribute to winning basketball, and I think our biggest example of seeing that kind of stuff is with Derek White, because you see like he was playing. I don't think he necessarily changed up too much from how good he was with us compared to how good he is with the Celtics, but you see what he's doing over there and you see that he's made an impact and how good they are, and how they're legitimate championship contenders now with the small transactions that they made right at the end of that deadline. So
Yeah.
um him being a part of that, just to me, exactly like what you said, it just shows to our season, to our guys, that hey, you guys are good, you guys can contribute to winning basketball, but we just have to, as a whole team, we have to put it together, because we're not exactly right there where the Boston Celtics are in terms of like contention kind of thing.
Yeah, and the star power that like Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown can like overcome some of the other guys not showing up every night. Like our team right now, it has to be a total team effort.
Hmm.
DeJounte is the closest thing we got to any of those superstars. Like the Nets, they've made it this far because they got Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and like some of those games, like you just can't beat them. Like their talent, like overcomes all the bad basketball. And right now with the Spurs, and we've talked about this like throughout the years, like it does feel like everybody has to be clicking. Like you can only afford one or two guys to either be missing or having a bad game, or else like it's hard to compete like that night. And so yeah, I think yeah, like to your point, like there's winning basketball. These guys can help contribute. Is somebody going to take a next step like Dejounte did, and are we going to have two of those guys on our team now, or is this what we are, and we do need 8, 9 bodies every night to show up?
Yeah. Yeah, no. To simply answer that question, which we'll talk about it a little bit later, but to simply answer that question, it is get the number one draft pick, sign Zach Levine, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Lottery odds will be in our favor. I'm calling it now. Uh, Actually, before before I ask Chris how he feels about the season, I had a dream the other week. So like earlier this week, and it was a terrible nightmare, man, because I felt so real. It felt so real that I was sitting in my dorm room and I was watching the lottery and we dropped to 10. And I was so sad. It like crushed me. And then I woke
Terrible.
up and I was like, oh my goodness, it was a dream. It was a dream. It was a
Yeah,
dream. And I was
terrible.
so scared, man. I was like, no, why? How could this happen to us? But Chris, I hope you haven't had any dreams like that. I hope your this last week for you has been all dandy and well. But I'd like to hear what you have to say, how you feel about the. If you have any additional thoughts on the play-in, you can go ahead and give them to what from what Juan was saying. If you want to add anything on that, but we did talk about the play-in last week, like Juan said during our playoff episode. But if you have any additional thoughts on that, you can go ahead and bring that in. But if not, I want to hear your thoughts on how you feel about the season. If you think anything special happened, or if you weren't happy with things, how do you have a generalized feel about the season?
Yeah. Well, good morning, guys. I mean, one kind of summed it up pretty well. I mean, the play-in game was definitely like indicative of just some of the things that we've seen most of the year. You know what I mean? So it's a shame because it's a shame because we've seen good and bad from the Spurs, and most of the year has been the question of like which kind of team are we going to get tonight. So it is a shame that we saw the disappointing side of it during during our winner take all kind of situation. But those guys got to learn the same way that I was just watching. Well, I've been watching the playoffs kind of a lot, but last night was Game 4 of Memphis and the Timberwolves, and like over the course of this series, you're seeing like the Timberwolves, they have to grow up if they're gonna want to move on. You know what I mean? Like they have so many things that they're still trying to develop in terms of like their how they function, right? And those things are being tested by the refs and by how they're deciding to try to approach the games, and it's altering them, right? And they're going to be a different team when they leave this series, win or lose. So like I want those opportunities for our guys. I would love to see us figure out how to deal with, okay, now you have a Booker who's kind of hurt. Maybe we can try to push on this thing and see how we would respond to like a Phoenix series. So like from that point of view, it is disappointing because you want to see us go forward. But I think I said this the other day, like 2 weeks ago or whenever we did our last episode, was like as a whole, like for the play-in game, disappointment level was like close to like a 7, right? Like it's kind of high. For the season, it's like a 4. You know what I mean? It's like we're playing with house money, getting in towards the postseason anyway. We have good things to look forward to. I am a little. Like you mentioned, like having a dream. I am a little. I didn't have no dreams, but I am a little like shaky because I've been playing. I've been playing 2K for like the past couple days, like just more than before, and so my head's just a little bit more like, dang man, like we played made it to like the 8th seed versus the 1 seed, and they the game's talking about your players, and they talk about DeJounte Murray, and all they talk about is how he wants to leave in the off season. I was like, what the heck is going on? So like it's a little different, but just the idea of like, is our future, going to be as fruitful as it feels like it can be, right? Like we got some picks coming up. We have cap space. So hopefully we are a big enough destination, and our guys made big enough strides, and DJ is a big enough draw, and all the above, right? There's a lot of stuff. So I'm not too worried about the season. We had a lot of good growth from our guys. Keldon Johnson stepped up in many ways. Jakob like showed their worth in a lot of different ways. Being able to kind of see a new guy fit in like Jay Rich and just show I guess Jay Rich mixed in with losing Derek White, just kind of like showing that the team can still move forward even though it's not going to stay exactly the same. So me as a fan, I was kind of learning along the way as well.
Mm-hmm. And it definitely to add on to what you're talking about with Jay Rich, it's definitely a thing that like you look at it and there's a lot of Spurs fans, a lot of Spurs Twitter that was definitely low on Derek this year. Our own brother Josh was probably a little bit lower on him than the us three would be. But it was definitely a thing that like when you still saw that trade, you still saw a lot of people, even if they were trashing on Derek, even if they were harping on him a lot, people were like a little upset, like, oh man, like I didn't think I'd see him go this soon, um And it was definitely a thing of just like nobody expected a guy like Josh Richardson to come in and do what he did, which was definitely a great surprise to see for the season, to be able to see how big of a turnaround that we were able to make for him and how big of a turnaround he made for us after the trade deadline,
Yeah.
because he definitely, to me, like, yeah, I love everything that Derek brought for us, but to me, his impact and his overall fit with the team was a lot better than what Derek was able to bring to the table. And so it definitely was.
which makes the pain like even more for me. Was that
Yeah,
it makes sense. Like, oh my gosh, like we had to make a move like this.
when
yeah,
you're
And
when you're mad at like you're mad at somebody, but then they like tell a joke and you kind of crack a smile a bit, then you get mad because you're laughing.
yeah,
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
um,
and so it's just been like for many years we've talked about the importance of like the character side, but the character side has always been right in tandem with these are our leaders on the basketball court. And so like we're just in that transitional period where we understand the importance of character because we've seen it be beneficial. So we keep talking about it, but also like there is the other side, right? You got to be able to produce in the right ways and all this and all this and all this. So yeah, it is sad because you want to see us turn the corner, and hopefully you get to see those young guys stick with us to see the fruits of their labor. You know what I mean? To see that other side. So,
hmm
but
But
I mean that guy's out there competing for a two spot right now, like
that's
looking to sweep the net. So
that's what I was gonna say. Is like it's definitely a thing for me right now where I like it. I don't want to root for the Celtics for draft sake, for selfish reasons, because for the Spurs, like if
I think it's locked in already, right?
no. So the thing that I'm gonna say is that like if Celtics win it all, then it's the 30th pick in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. Like if they win it all, they get the 30th pick.
which pick is that changing for us?
It's
25.
20, yeah,
I
25.
don't care. It's okay.
And I mean like yeah, you're right.
I'll
Like
spot Derek White 5 picks.
that's what I'm saying. Like if the Celtics lose, then like I'm like, okay, well, we get our 25th pick. But if they win, honestly, I don't even think. At first, it was like I don't want to see the Celtics win. Now I'm like, I want to see the Celtics win. I've been watching them. I've been watching them throughout the series and all that kind of stuff. It was definitely a thing for me where it was just like, yeah, man, I'll full on root for Derek. He's been killer. And Juan was talking about this too with like the whole like we needed every guy to be on it when Derek goes 3 for 9 for us, it was pretty hard for us to try to get out of a deficit. But if Derek goes 3 for 9 with the Celtics, well, you got 39 points from
Yeah.
Jason Tatum, and 20
All,
something from
all he
Jaylen
needs to
Brown.
make an impact is that one full court pass that he hits Tatum on the run, and it's like Derek White with the pinpoint pass, and like that's all he
hmm
needs. That's enough for him to make his name is his mark on the game. That's it. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
Yeah,
And yeah, to bring it back to the Spurs, it was definitely a thing where it was like just like you're saying, Derek White was making his mark. Josh Richardson was doing the same thing for us, man. He was making so many of these impactful plays, and like it was crazy because I mean you can go back to our podcast episodes right as the trade deadline was coming up, and we see the trade happen, and we're like, I don't really see Josh Richardson doing too much. I think I was like, he'll be able to fit in on the bench nicely, do his thing. And then he came out and like I think it was like maybe the third or fourth game when he had to get like extended PT, and people were like, he looks kind of solid. And then like from there it just kind of blew up. He just started to go crazy from there, and just like had this really crazy stretch of like awesome 3-point shots, very good defensive plays, a lot of hustle. It was very exciting to see what that like mid season acquisition was for our team, because I mean we don't do that kind of stuff. San Antonio doesn't ever make trades. Even though like this might not be your biggest blockbuster trade of the season, it was still more than enough to like change the way that our team went, the way that our team ran. You traded a whole other point guard in a sense, even though Derek was playing our two guard. You traded a whole other point guard for an off guard, like a guy who doesn't have point guard responsibilities in his style of play. So we had to change it up. We had to change how our team was playing, and it was exciting. It was exciting to see that kind of stuff for our season because we pretty much, to me, it was like awesome to see two different teams from the first half of the season to after the trade deadline. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and Spurs have made moves like this before. This is kind of but normally it's been you get a guy who changes how like your bench unit looks and really solidifies something down there, right? Like in that 6 to 10 kind of range. So, but I mean, on our team we get a guy like this, and losing Derek kind of opens up that number 2 spot. So not that Richardson stepped in, it kind of provided itself more for a guy like Keldon than anybody. But just we've made moves like this before, where we get better and a guy who really really locks in, almost kind of like a Robert Horry, you know what I mean? But Robert Horry didn't have to come in and be anything other than just a glue guy, hit big shots, make smart plays, right? Which is what Richardson could do if we can just get somebody to really take leadership and fill in that number 2 spot, or through free agency or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I got 2 points there, Jake. You had talked about like Spurs don't really make trades, and then I was gonna say like about like trading Derek White and getting him off the team. The first thing is I think it is like the new norm now. Our new GM for like the last couple of years, Brian Wright, has been making these type of trades. He'd been making like little spot deals here and there, and all the rumors were that like we were just getting involved in these trades just to like when we traded for a guy like Marquise Chris, and then we didn't do nothing with him. Like we were part of like that 4-team trade like a while back. Like we're just getting involved in these deals to build relationships with other teams finally, because for the longest time the Spurs had been so secluded into themselves and didn't make deals with people, especially not mid-season trades. Like what was it like? We broke the record for like Spurs trades in a season, like before the trade deadline.
Yeah,
Like
right.
before that, because we had traded Bryn Forbes and
That
I don't yeah, and Thad, and then there was the Derek White trade, and I don't know I'm excited like for the new direction. We're like building relationships. I think it might help you like say you want to move up in the draft, say you want to do something like that. Now you have like connections and just like you're not just nobody wants to help the Spurs. Like I think that he's
Yeah.
helping build like a new sense.
You do have to build that rep up, and it's not like a negative thing. Well, I mean, it kind of can be. I was talking with our cousin Drew and our uncle the other day. Like, and maybe I think I mentioned this to one of you guys a couple days prior too, but it's similar. So our cousin Drew's a Lakers fan, and we were talking about their offseason a little bit, and he has hopes for them and things that he would like for them to do, and to see them get back to being successful. And I told him, I was like, nobody's going to do the Lakers any favors, whether it's free agency or in talks or I'm helping you out with these deals. Like, it's just not going to happen. And the Spurs are kind of on that same track, but it's just in a different way, right? Almost the same way that with the Warriors, right? Where it was like those couple years where Steph was hurt and Clay was hurt, like teams were willing to beat on them and be like, we're not going to help you out at all based off of what had just happened. So it's like, the Spurs have been a successful team for so long and winnings for so long. Not to say that they burned bridges, but it's just like, you want us to like help you fast track y'all to get back to that place. It's like, there's a give and take between all that kind of stuff. So like, we do have to like do it in a process kind of way. We're not just going to be like NBA royalty. The way that we talk about the Spurs is not, other people don't care as much about like our streaks and the things that we did for 15 plus years. So like, you just got to keep moving forward. You can't just keep talking about it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, I'll go ahead and add the final piece to our puzzle. Josh,
Yeah, what's
how
up,
you
boys?
been? How you doing?
I'm good. I got kicked out of my room. I'm in my daughter's room. So
I know. I was gonna say you're in a very pretty room right now, man.
yeah, that's where I'm at now, dude. I got 2 little boys. 2 little boys. They're monsters, and then my wife too. So this is where I'm at.
She's a monster too. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
the
Yeah,
same
they're
right.
all,
Three
they're all
monsters.
Yeah, so this is where I've been reduced to.
Oh man,
It's all
well,
good though. At least I'm 20 minutes late, but I'm in.
There you go.
yeah, there you go.
I got that one other thing, Jake, about the Derek White. We always say like well, where are the minutes going to come from? Trey Jones seems like the odd man out. Like blah blah blah. This and like the front office viewed it. Well, Derek White was the odd man out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like as a fan, it's like a wake up call, especially like when you see how well Josh Richardson fit with the team. It's like, yes, like I know I get like emotionally attached to these players. Derek White was one of my favorite players. He did so many things on the court that just made me like when he takes the charge in the bubble and he gets up and he's like chip tooth, like that type of stuff. I was like, "Yeah, I love this guy. Like he does so many winning plays." But when we're like, oh, it's got to be Trey Jones. Oh, it's got to be this guy. It's got like the front office is able to evaluate the whole team, point at Derek White, and you get rid of him. Now Keldon's scoring goes up. Devin can start. Trey Jones can get like a featured point guard role like on the team. And it just opened up so much more for the team. And then Josh Richardson just fit seamlessly with the team. It's like again, the Spurs did another move where it was like, I don't know what we're doing, and then it worked out. And you know,
Yeah, but also it's almost kind of like the DeMar stuff where it's like losing DeMar means losing a lot of production, but you can also see where it opens up opportunities. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I mean, yeah, if definitely for me, it's a thing of like, if I compare this year's team to last year's team, like I I would still, it's not like I would be like, oh, just because last year's team had DeMar, they're automatically a better team than what we had this year. Because now we have an all-star in DJ and 20 points per game scoring Keldon, you know? So it's like there's a lot of things that opened up for a lot of the guys with DeMar gone that make up for it now. That like make it feel like it was a good thing that DeMar's not on this
yeah.
team anymore, because we're still in that same area of contending where we were with DeMar. So, you know,
Yeah, if anything, you just see a difference in like how a guy like Keldon Johnson, feels in the situation. Last year, we would be content to have DeMar lead us there, and then you also have to feel content now with Keldon Johnson feeling like a deer with headlights and not really feeling like where's it at, you know what I mean? And this year, it's like, well, there is no DeMar, so it's your turn. And so seeing them for the most part kind of step up into those roles. Obviously, the play-in, it kind of felt like we reverted to a lot of bad habits and stuff like that, but we wouldn't have seen any of that growth, or we would have just seen a fraction of those moments that we got to see with all of our young guys, without that opportunity there. So, we still have more moves to make. Last offseason was pretty active, like when it comes to just like the Spurs name being around, you know what I mean? And that's also included with the Becky Hammon. I think at the time it was Becky Hammon and Vegas talk started up last offseason. So like, with all that kind of stuff, we had a pretty eventful summer. So I don't know. I feel like we'll still have our some things to talk about over the summer.
for sure, for sure. Josh, like you said, you did come in a good little bit late. We were just talking about how we feel about the season as a whole. If there was anything that like really got us like upset, something that like really surprised you. I just want to get your general feeling, how like anything that you want to bring up about like this whole season. This whole season really.
I don't think that I'm upset. I I I don't I don't know how to explain. Like I felt like I know Juan brought up the stats like the guys are playing the way the guys are playing. This is what the record shows that we should have been. I forget what kind of stat that was, one that you were like bringing up all season.
mhm.
But it's just we started off real slow, I wish we could have. I forgot what did we start off? We started off for like a whole bunch of losses, like piling up, right? We just could not win games. But as the season progressed, like I feel like we figured out how to win those games. DJ just like blossomed into, all-star DJ, and like it was an overall good season. That's gonna end with, I know we missed the play in. We're gonna miss, I mean, we missed the playoffs, but like we're gonna get a good pick. Like so I don't feel I don't feel bad about how this season went at all. I don't know if y'all
Yeah.
can hear my son. My son's going crazy back there.
No. Yeah. Definitely could hear one of the little monsters.
Yeah.
Just now. Yeah, I mean it's definitely, I don't think any of us would be too disappointed with the season at all. To me, I was just telling Juan this earlier. Like, I'll give these guys, like, if I could grade it, I would give these guys that like A to A plus because they surpassed my expectations. Records aside, like sure, I like the prediction that I had was probably the closest to what our record was ended up being, but they still, like, our guys played better than what I thought they were going to be. I didn't expect for an all-star season from DeJounte Murray. I didn't expect Keldon to turn into a 40% three-point shooter. I expected and hoped a little bit for Devin to make a bigger jump. He did make a good jump, and that's one thing that I'll say from, like, this is a Devin that, like, we saw all season. So at the end of the season, to see him not progress as much in that sense, like,
But
people,
see, but like you can't be too hard on Devin because Keldon was in the same spot a year ago, averaging
right?
10
So
points a game,
I
and then
think
he takes the
he's
next.
just saying that, like, now that we can see it as a whole, we see that, like, the things that we saw at the beginning, he kind of progressed in a steady way all the way across. Like,
yeah,
But
and so
that's what I'm
like,
saying. I feel like Keldon did the same exact thing a year ago, and then you come into this year and you're like, oh my
yeah, for
god,
sure.
Keldon just blew up. Like Devin still has a chance to do that because last year it was like Keldon just stopped running straight into guys. But you said that all year long and it never stopped. And then now, like I feel like it's like a little bit of recency bias with Keldon. He played so well that I think we all forgot the expectation that or the lack of expectation for Keldon to even do something like this to make a jump. Like I was
yeah,
expecting Keldon to just be that type of player, just kind of energy, body. I was saying bring him off the bench, and he turned into like a full 20 point per game guy with like all like types of different like moves like in his bag now. But I'm sorry,
mhm.
go ahead with
Well, yeah, and I'm just saying that, like, I was coming into the season like, look out for Devin Vassell. He's going to make this big jump, and I think he did make the jump right at the beginning of the season. You know what I mean? To me, he was the one that was like through all of our beginning of the season struggles, he was the bright spot that I was like, hey guys, look at what Devin's doing. He's added this much to his game. He's still doing this stuff. He's still, like, this is the things that he's doing. And then everybody else started to get those jumps too. You know what I mean? Like, you started to see DeJounte feel comfortable in his role. You started to see Keldon start to shoot the ball better. Stuff like that where you're just like, now we're seeing the other guys make those jumps, but because Devin made his jump right at the beginning of the season, it was kind of hard for him to like in a sense maintain that speed of progression, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so that's like, I'm not saying that I was like down on Devin. I still think he had a great season. I think all of our guys had a great season. And it's, again, what I'm saying is just like, they all surpassed my expectations. And that's why I would personally give them like that high grade of how I feel about the season, because yeah, I thought they were going to be worse than what they showed me this year. They
Yeah.
definitely did play a lot better,
And it's tough. It's tough when you have five guys or maybe even six that you're hoping are having upward trajectories all at the same time. You know what I mean? Because that means you're trying to put them in good positions, give them the sufficient amount of reps. They're actually taking to the things that you're teaching, and they're all, you know what I mean? So it's tough to see if you were to like graph it out, it would be tough to see 5 or 6 people all growing like this together. Your hope is that like a guy like DJ and Keldon can become a cut above, and they can kind of start to level off at a high level, and then you can put the energy to see growth from those other dudes. But we just have so many guys fighting for anything, you know what I mean, or everything, I guess, right? So I was glad. I'm kind of like you. I was glad that at least throughout the year, if you think about it that way, you're able to see moments from everybody, Lonnie included, Jakob included. You know what I mean? On top of the guys that you guys were talking about.
Okay. If there is one thing that I can be just a tad bit disappointed about is, I don't even want to call it effort. I guess it's just like, just Yak feeling like he had a little bit of like a downward spiral at the end of the season. Like, we do put a lot on him. Like, I understand that we put like a lot of pressure for him to be that defensive anchor for us, but it felt like I was like a thing. It was a thing for me where it was like at the beginning of the season we saw Yak and it was just like, yeah, that was good, and then he added like some little bit stuff that was just like, hey, I love to see this kind of stuff from Yak. This is perfect. This is exactly what we need from him. not asking him to do any more than what he did towards like that, like right at the end of December type of stretch, you know. But then like right after the trade deadline, it just felt like a small drop off, and then it just kind of kept going a little bit more for the rest of the season. Little bits here and there where he would get back up to the Yak that we could like that we love to see, but it felt like we were getting less of that as like that from the trade deadline going on. That's where I
As
saw
far
Yak.
as what? As far as like offensively or what?
It was a thing of just like, I mean, like I'm not telling you like I wanted to see like Yak post touches, but like, you know, sometimes around the rim, yeah, like on the offensive end, but I feel like a lot of it did come from the defensive side, like where it was just like things of like, come on Yak, like you shouldn't be getting caught with these little fouls, or maybe just like getting beat on defense sometimes, where it was just like I expect you to be a little bit better defensively, and you're getting a little beat here. You know what I mean? Like this is a guy that you should be able to stand your ground and not get stopped, or be able to stop in that sense. But he was kind of faltering and letting the guy beat him in the position. You know?
Maybe that's just the product of when you're the only center on the team.
Yeah,
for
it just-
82 for 82
it's
games.
it's like what we see in Kevin Durant right now. You're gonna like just over time, like at the end of the day, you're gonna get tired. You know,
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, you're super fresh. By the end of the day, you're tired, and it's the same way that Jakob got beat up all year. So yeah, we needed him at the end of the year. He had no help. Zach Collins came in late, you know, to provide some of that help, but I think it was just a little, you know, too late. That Jakob had already went, you know, 10 of the 12 rounds, and hopefully we feel that next year, you know, if we do some good things in the draft or free agency, and we get another big guy just to
when we
help
signed
man
DeAndre
out.
Ayton, I got you.
Well,
Yeah.
and to that point though, that's why you would almost look at it more from a team thing or an organization thing of like why you would see a drop off from a guy like Jakob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe they did see that because we did try to go. We felt the necessity to have a guy like Jock Landale and Zach kind of play minutes at the 4 to kind of bolster that stuff up. So maybe we were feeling a little thin with Yak being our sole protector all the way towards the end of the season. You know what I mean? But I don't know if I would put too much of that on Yak himself.
Yeah, I mean that's a great way to put it. You know, that's a great way to put it, to like, you know, even like for me right now, like I didn't even think about it in that manner, so it does change a little bit of like me thinking that was disappointing for Yak, and more on the side of like, well, as a team, maybe we like hopefully we can kind of fix that whole next off season, you know?
Yeah, and that's kind of like me personally. That's kind of how I tried to look at the whole last of the year. It's like all the things that are happening that we don't like. Are these things that we've seen throughout the year that are just problems that we've never corrected? Are they easily corrected? Is it something now we start to think about like the off-season mode, right? Of like, well, how can we get better and iron out past these things, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I get to answer like the little question. I know I talked on it earlier, and you had given it a grade. I would say B to B plus for the season. I get what you're saying. Your grade is like A plus. People stepped up, seeing growth, but I guess like for the season in general, because like obviously it's like it's based on your expectations coming into the year, and I had said like a lot during the offseason, like I don't think people are going to realize how many games we're going to lose in the fourth quarter because we don't have DeMar anymore. Like DeMar was leading like fourth quarter points all last year. He hit so many buckets for us. He kept us alive. He maybe saved some games. You know, he brought us back. I just expected us to, you know, have some like drop off, like a significant drop off in that sense. I wasn't expecting us to go, what was it, like 0-30 after like the third quarter, like right when we were losing after like the third.
It was a big number.
I wasn't
I
expecting
think
all
we
that.
won one game. Was
We
it
did.
one game we won?
We got I think we got one of those.
I think we
Yeah.
got one.
So I wasn't expecting it to be like that bad, but that's why I think our guys did a good job in the second half of the year, because the first half we started off with like Drew Eubanks had to start a bunch of games. Kate has started a bunch of games. Like Josh said, like we started off in such a hole. The way we came back, the way our guys fought and competed and fought to the very end. I know it was a losing record trying to make the playoffs, but it still was like they were competing. And I just think with my expectation of losing DeMar, and all that the good that he could bring. It was like a crutch, basically. Like the young guys relied on him last year, and to like have him leave, and then like Josh brought it up, the expected win loss and what we kind of already are, and like look like this year, like it was kind of the same result last year, but without that crutch, without DeMar. And so I think that's a good sign because now you can build on that and your new foundation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would give it a B to B plus because it's not
Well,
perfect.
to me, DeMar, like in Chicago, I know he went like on that one crazy ass stretch where he was like scoring, I forget what he did. They were like MJ
His
numbers that he was
passing wilt,
putting.
his passing
Yeah,
wilt
like
numbers.
like for 25, for X amount of games straight, or I forget what the stat was, right? But like he didn't do much different this year than he did last year, but he's just in Chicago. He gets all the praise over there, and like for us to lose that, like he to me, like it's like San Antonio, Chicago, he had back to back great seasons over there and over here, right? Like you just said that all the fourth quarter stats, the game winners. I know he had a couple game winners, and games that he won for us. We lost and all he might make an all NBA team, this year. We lost that and we didn't, we won still the same amount of games. So like I still think that's super great. That's a good season for us.
Because
Everybody stepped
you could
up.
say like you took a step back, but the young guys took a step forward and got us right
Yeah,
back
right
into
back
that
to where
spot.
we were,
I mean,
and
you
that's
you
that's
you
that's all you
know
can
you
hope for.
anticipate a step backwards, so for it to be a small step backwards is encouraging.
Yeah,
If even a step backwards at all, it could just be a lateral.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
or a lateral step exactly.
so I think the guy, like you said, who's going to step up, who's going to score DeMar's 20 points a game, like who's going to do that? Well, everybody.
Who's gonna stay calm
Yeah,
and with the ball in their
everybody
hands with
did
2 minutes to
it.
go? Like that's
The,
that's the things that we had to figure out.
Mhm.
and I feel like we were figuring it out, but just a little too late. After, like he said, we were in a hole already, and
Yeah.
then towards the end of the year we started to win some of those games. So I mean, next year if we could get out, if we could start playing the way we're playing at the end of this year, and then improve from that, and that bodes well for
But
for
also
us.
it kind of speaks to the type of team that they were too, because like on the large sense, it's what you guys said of like it just took a little bit too long for us to get going. Well, game to game, it was kind of the same thing. How many times did we see where it's like we're finally starting to play good ball with like 7 minutes to go in the game, and we're down by like 13. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like there's just not enough time anymore. You just took too long to get going. So it's like part of that's youth, right? It's like your body is ready to go, but your brain's not there. And then that's the thing. That's the flip. Is as you get older, your mind becomes sharper, and you start to recognize what you got to do, but you got to do it quick because now your body's starting to slow down. You know what I mean? So the perfect scenario is getting those young guys to recognize these opportunities so that they can have both. You know what I mean? We want them to be smart and young.
mhm. Yeah, no, there's so much for our team success to like, or like even if we didn't get like the record success, right? So much to think of it as team success for a lot of the guys. But like honestly, to me, it was definitely great to see the individual success throughout the season too. Like Chris had said, like I was saying earlier, seeing like how our guys made those like in season improvements. You see those jumps throughout the season, and you just think about it. Individually, Keldon had an amazing season. From where he started off to where he ended was great. You start off shooting like less than 15% from three or something like that, to becoming a 40% 3-point shooter, to becoming a 20-point per game scorer. Like that's all in one season. That was all in one season that we saw from KJ. And Dejounte had crazy spurts too, where he like went from like he started off the season maybe a little slow, trying to get used to his role, but then like as soon as he felt comfortable, boom, we're starting to see all-star type numbers. As soon as after all-star break, we're seeing even better numbers from before, and like
I went from saying like Dejounte could be like Chris Paul, 18-10, and he finished the year like Jake said after the All Star break, averaging 25, 9-9, and
Jesus.
like I was just like he was breaking expectations mid season. It was crazy.
Yeah.
yeah. And then, like I said, like for me, Devin being the guy that I was like, looking at, keeping my like I guess eagle eye or my magnifying glass on to like to see how well he's gonna be, how good he's gonna improve and stuff, and just to see like steady improvements. From last year to this year, he ended up getting more responsibilities on ball, having these little set plays for him, and stuff like that. I know Josh talks about it. It definitely is a thing for next year to see him attack the rim more because he has that ability. You know that he can do it. And it was just something for me to see that, like, hey, he's a guy who's not like Danny Green. He can put the ball on the floor. He can put the ball on the floor and create a shot. And that was something that I don't think anybody was necessarily expecting before this season. So I was like, if we can see Devin put the ball on the floor and all this kind of stuff, he's already making improvements. And that's exactly what he was doing throughout the season, was just steadily improving on the little things that he had touched on from the offseason. So stuff like that,
So Jake, like, obviously we were spurred along the way by like good moments from a lot of different people this year, right? And Jake was kind of just saying like everybody kind of maybe locks in on somebody, or maybe you think you're going to be locking in on somebody, but then as the season goes on, it kind of shifts or whatever. So like, would you say that Devin Vassell was like your favorite player to watch this year?
Yeah, for sure. Devin was my favorite player to watch throughout this year. But if I could give a very solid second, it's Josh Richardson. Like the second Josh Richardson came up and started doing his thing, he immediately jumped up to being like right there. It's like, I love seeing this guy on the court. Love seeing everything that he could add to our team. So to me, it was Devin all year, but Josh was a very, very pleasant surprise in the second half.
Right on. Right on. Anybody else wanna give an answer for just like somebody that you've enjoyed watching most of the year or all year?
Yeah, I got so obviously like DeJounte's my guy, like he's my favorite player. But my favorite player to watch was Keldon. He's turned me on like I love it when our guys are celebrating when Keldon hits a three and he turns like and the other team has to call a timeout and he just starts like freaking out and yelling, or if he like booms it like on a fast break and he's just screaming. Like Keldon convinced me that his jersey is going to be in the rafters one day this year. Like the energy,
It's the Patty effect. Like
yeah.
It's instead of it being on the sideline when Patty was waving his towel, it's on the court. He's making those plays. That's how I feel.
Yeah, and it like it got me, and I was just convinced every time I watch a game with Dad. I tell him, I'm like watch this guy, Dad. Like he's gonna be up there one day, like next to Timmy and Tony and Monty, and like just because of his impact that he's doing, and look how much like the fans love this guy, because I still think a lot of the stuff like Draymond Green would do, like with the Warriors, was like a little too excessive and extra because like Steph or Clay would be going off and then Draymond would be the guy yelling. But like with Keldon, he kind of like he's the one doing all. He's like excited for his guys, right? So like it made me understand a little bit of like that Draymond, like he's just hyped for his team's success, and like I get that now. But Keldon, like yeah, hitting the three and then just like I don't know, his energy is just infectious. It's amazing. Anytime I went to the game and I was just like watching Keldon, him going off, like and him screaming. It by far like the most exciting. I get like Josh said, that's a really good like comparison. Like the Patty Mills, like it gets my blood going. Like I'm just like excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Juan, to the Draymond thing, to me, it's definitely like a sign of growth for myself, because like, yeah, stuff like you're saying. I saw a lot of Draymond Green and Keldon Johnson this year, and I learned to appreciate both players a lot for it. It was like a thing of like, as and 2015 when I'm just learning how to like understand the game and all that kind of stuff, and I see Draymond pull this layup over a 6'1" point guard, and then he flexes and yells, and I'm like, man, get out of here with that man.
He's doing that, and he just scored like his 6th point of the game.
Yeah. He did that the other day. He was yelling, and it showed his stat line, and it was like he had 4 points and like 6 rebounds or 4 rebounds. I was like, There it is.
It was a thing. It was a thing for me where it was like, as a kid, I'm like, get out of here, man. You're nothing. Blah, whatever.
That's
But
what a bias and like context will do for you. You're like, oh, but when our guy does it, it's okay. So I guess I
well,
see how they
now
do
it's
it.
like, yeah, exactly. Now it's like a thing of like, well, yeah, I understand the whole point of just not even doing it for yourself, but like getting the whole team involved. Getting
Yeah.
that energy and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a thing where like over the course of this year, man, I just on a side tangent, like I just learned how to appreciate Draymond Green a lot more than
Yeah.
I had like the last couple years, because I saw what he did for that Warriors team, and like I see like that kind of stuff. But then I also see like, other than like the playmaking, all the stuff that Draymond does on and off the court is stuff that I see Keldon do for us, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I love it. This is
Yeah.
what I wanted. This is exactly what I want for our team.
Yeah.
Is a guy like that.
And in terms of like it being, and I know we're talking about Draymond Green now, but like in terms of it being extra or whatever, like they're such a good team that they get a lot of hate towards them, and so he's there to eat all that negative energy so that their stars don't have to do it. You know what I mean? So he'll gladly be the guy that you hate on, so that Steph can just do his thing, be a pretty boy, and shoot the ball. You know what I mean? So like that's just how it goes.
That sounds like something Jake would say.
Man, well,
all right.
Josh, do you have I think I know who your answer would be, but do you have your favorite player this year?
Well, like y'all know my favorite players, like probably it's Lonnie on the team. Like that feels just so exciting. Like the things that he could do when he plays well, it's like there's not another guy like it. Like his athleticism on our team is like unmatched to me. Like it's ridiculous. But like it would probably be Primo, because I was at like watching the draft with Juan, and it was San Antonio Spurs select Josh Primo, and I was like, what the hell just happened, right? I was like bummed out.
This guy?
Yeah, like and we were with our cousin Drew, like we were at his house, and that fool was laughing at us, like he was just cracking up, because me and Juan were like,
he's all, Westbrook's gonna cook that guy.
We were like, who? Like,
Yeah.
And I think he even said, he's like, what is that guy, 12 years old? Because Primo's little face was on the TV, and like, like, so coming into the season, I'm not gonna say I had no expectations for him, but I had no idea who he was, right? So like, when you draft a guy that high, he comes with expectations because of his draft like position, but like Juan was saying, I know like just a couple I can say a couple games ago, but towards the end of the season he had that nice little dunk, and he let out that yell like Keldon, like it's rubbing
Rockets
off
dunk, man.
Yeah, that was like so hype. And then like you could see like his playmaking. You could see like he's not afraid to get in there. He's not afraid to shoot the ball. He's not afraid to attack the rim. Like, and that's what I like. I like him attacking. I like him. He has like nice fadeaways. He has like everything. He has like a little bag already, but he's just a baby. So I'm excited to see him going forward. I hope he gets a lot more opportunities next year, wherever he plays, at the 1 or the 2. But yeah, he was probably right there with Lonnie. Like those were my favorite dudes to watch. Even though he didn't play too much, like I feel like he tried. Like he had some dumb. He was a rookie, right? You could tell he just had some passes when you're like, all right, you got to go sit down, dude. But
or times where the other teams made him feel like a rookie and really put it to him.
Yeah, but like he still wasn't scared, and I feel like as a kid, like showing that already, like it's whatever, it's basketball to me. Like that's how I felt his approach was, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Juan has like said it throughout the season, and I really love to hear this kind of stuff, and it makes me like think about it in the sense of like why I'm like so happy with like we like where we drafted Primo and all that kind of stuff. And it's like a thing of like, we drafted this raw prospect, but the one thing that was like added to him that nobody knew was that it factor. Is that like we drafted the guy with the it factor. And to me, like that's like the thing that I'm excited about, is because it's like anytime I see him on the court, especially in crucial moments, it doesn't seem like he falters. It doesn't seem like yes, like you said, he's a rookie, so he does make his mistakes, and he does, he is just this little step behind because he's 18 years old, or 19 years old now. But uh, like dude was still putting up things that like you're like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that I'll see a 28-year-old veteran player do, you know? And it's like he's already doing that now. He already has like this mentality, this
And
like
he was the youngest player in the G League and in the NBA, and he still averaged like 17 in the G League. So
mhm.
like he was
and
hooping.
and I mean, I guess like to like I guess kind of bring it down to level, right? But it's also a thing of like, yeah, he's a rookie. If I'm not mistaken, led the G League in turnovers as well. And it's a thing of just like I mean, I'm not gonna get upset seeing him lead the league in turnovers because that means that was probably him learning and experimenting on what to do when he's on the court, um, and it's stuff like that where it's like, yeah, like everything that we saw from Primo, there can be such a huge jump, and then for me, the fact that it feels like he's not going to be a guy that falters in those clutch situations adds that much more because I'm like, I'm ready to see my next Primo game winner or game tying, game sealing, whatever it
Yeah,
is
he did have that clutch three, right?
in
In that
against Brooklyn,
mhm.
man, and it's stuff like that where I'm just like, yeah, there are those moments where I'm ready to see what this guy can bring for us next year.
Yeah, a little bit more context for Primo, like because if you just look at like his stats and like the stuff, like they're just it's not impressive. It doesn't blow you away, and then like all that. He graduated early. He said he reclassified as a senior midway through his junior year in high school, and then he went to college at 17 years old, and he's in the NBA. So like Sean Elliott always talks about it. He's like, it's so hard. It's like I don't know why people judge these kids so hard. Like they should be sophomores in college. They should be juniors in college, and they expect them to carry NBA franchises. Well, Primo should be a freshman in college right now, but he just got to spend a whole year, developing, learning, growing, like all that type of stuff. So like, yeah, I he shows all the flashes, and you just can't help but feel excited because everything he shows, it feels like it's like an exponential like it's gonna grow so much because he's just so young, and everything that's bad you can kind of just chalk it up to like, yeah, he's a baby, he doesn't know what he's doing. um, there was a lot of love for that Herb Jones guy, on New Orleans. He was a second round pick, blah blah blah. Well, I looked him up, and I was talking to Josh about this like the other week. That dude is 23 years old already. Like he's older than Keldon, he's older than Devin, and it's like no dud. Like no wonder he's making more winning plays and finding ways to contribute on a team. And like it looks like he knows what he's supposed to be doing. Well, he's been playing basketball 4 years, 5 years longer than Primo.
Primo's going to be in his fifth NBA year at 23.
Yeah, and like no wonder Herb Jones is like making that type of immediate impact. It's because he's like that much older, and that's like what like
Isn't
the
that
NBA
Bain
used to
as
be.
well?
Yeah, Desmond Bain was a 4-year player at
Isn't
TCU.
Desmond Bain like he's up, well, not up there in age, but up there for a young guy? That makes
Yeah,
sense.
Mm-hmm.
exactly. And so like you can kind of already see like the immediate impact that those guys could provide. And for the Spurs team, like yes, they've taken like Keldon, Devin, and Primo, like they're all babies coming out of college, but it's fine because now like they're all gonna grow and get to that point. Like we're all there. Like the team wasn't gonna win anyways, so you're allowed to pick these younger guys that are gonna take time. So now they're gonna be a core and grow up together. And then maybe now you could start picking guys who are a little bit more complete products that can produce now.
Yeah,
That can help them as well.
or you get the
Yeah.
guy in free agency who is the established guy, because now you got guys who are coming into their own over the next 3 to 5 years. You get a guy to lead them for the next maybe 2 to 3 years with DJ, and then the power shift as Keldon is entering his 6th year, 7th year, 8th year, you
Yep.
know what I mean, or whatever.
It's
It just
definitely
sorry, I was just gonna say it just blew my mind that Herb Jones was older than Keldon and all of them. Like it's like it's a grown man. They just have it like as a rookie, and they
mhm.
keep going. And I know it's like he's a rookie, but like you could tell like there's a difference between like the age and experience of just literally just being around the game years longer than somebody
Yeah.
else.
For sure. It's definitely interesting to like think about like how the Spurs have drafted like the last couple years. Because the one thing is like in terms of at least from 2016 to like maybe 2018, we're drafting around this one specific player. We're drafting guys to build with Kawhi Leonard at that time, and like Juan was saying, like it's like a thing of like we drafted DJ because he was a baby and we knew like all right, well this is our one project piece that we're gonna have. Then the very next year we drafted Derek White, who was 22, 23 years old already, 4-year college player, knew he was gonna take maybe a year to develop and then start immediately impacting like the next year kind of thing. And it's stuff like that where it's like, yeah, you look at like those draft picks and it's like, oh man, of course we drafted like that to build around a competing team.
Yeah.
But then it kind of gets a little, like then we get our like, I'm trying to think of like a good term, but like pretty much just like things get scrambled, it doesn't go the way that we were expecting it. So now we have to like change up how we're drafting, and luckily we get this extra pick for number 29 in the draft, and we get Keldon Johnson from that pick, and we're just like we're gonna start building these guys that have this raw potential and all that kind of stuff. You can see exactly from that 2019 year where this is where we started drafting guys because we were building from potential and not necessarily from, well, this guy's an established player, we're going to keep drafting established players. Like, no.
Yeah. Or we're drafting a guy who we might not even see play.
Mm-hmm. And even before DeJounte Murray, you're thinking Kyle Anderson, Corey Joseph, stuff like that. It's like these guys that like are a little bit older, not 19, 18 years old coming out of the draft.
Corey was a baby coming out of the draft too.
Corey? Okay. I mean,
yes.
So either way, I mean, like, I think the biggest thing for me is like Kyle right there, right after we won a championship kind of thing. And we got a guy who didn't take that long to get that good, So it's stuff like that where you definitely see the change in direction and how we are building our team up,
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting. It's very exciting stuff. In terms of the off season, there's so much stuff that we can look forward to.
My favorite player was Keldon, by the way.
Oh, my bad, Chris. Do you want to talk? Do you want to like go into that kind of stuff before
I won't add too much. Juan kind of said it too. Like all the hype stuff is obviously he kind of brought that from day one, but like seeing the other side of it this year is seeing like the focus on top of the hype. Right, most of the time it's like the outburst comes right after he just makes a really good play, right? And so just seeing him just be a lot more like what's the word I'm looking for? Like he's not aimlessly running into the paint. Instead, it's like very deliberate. He's got a plan, or he's got a, he's working towards something. So that's probably been the my favorite thing to watch is his progression. I've seen great moments, like I said, from Lonnie and DJ and Devin and even Trey Jones and like from a lot of our guys. But Keldon has especially post the Derek White. Derek White was my favorite player because I felt like he was our smartest player, and he kind of embodied a lot of the things that I enjoy about Spurs basketball. And Keldon like has quickly kind of taken that spot in Derek's absence.
That's you talk about focus, and like he showed in the last game of the season. He had a horrible first half, and he came out the second half. He didn't like he didn't just fade away, and he played his ass off, and he ended up with a pretty good game. We didn't get the dub, but
exactly. It's like Juan said, the complete opposite of the Atlanta Hornets game. You know what I mean? We didn't just see our team mail it in the second half and pout. You know what I mean? And we've seen our teams do that even in 20 when we lost Kawhi. For the moment we lost Kawhi, our team felt sorry about ourselves playing against the Warriors for like 2 or 3 years in a row. We just had to watch ourselves pout and be sad about not having this or not having that. Even DeMar and LA versus Denver, Game 7. You know what I mean? And seeing it end in that way. You know what I mean? Or like you know what I mean? Like those are the things that kind of linger on. And so to not see that and to see that, we're just going to keep coming. We're going to keep coming. We're close. We're close.
For sure. And he's got your number 3 too, man. So that's always a good thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so to kind of move into this offseason talk, we have a lot of directions that we could go, and I'd love to hear how you guys feel going into this offseason, what you guys think we should, like, a direction that you feel like we should go, whether that's like trading picks to get established players, trading up in the draft, keeping picks. How do you feel like the San Antonio Spurs should go this offseason?
Y'all know what I said. I said if we're not gonna like go big, if we're not gonna go big, then don't go at all. I think I want to go to the top 4. I mean, if there's a chance that we don't have to do anything. There's a chance that we could, that ball could bounce our way and we're in the top 4, and I think that'll be the best. But if not, and we have to trade our picks and a piece to move up there and get our 4, that's what I want to do. I don't want to. I would like to just sign Aiden and draft whoever, or sign Levine and draft whoever, but there's no guarantee that. I mean, when you pick that, when you take your lottery pick, they're coming to your team whether they like it or not. You know what I mean? And who knows what Aiden wants to do? He might just take some money and stay in Phoenix. He has a great situation there. Zach LaVine has DeMar. We'll see what they do. I think they play today, right? So,
or Aiden could become a 28 per game scorer with us and show the whole world how good he is.
Yeah, I mean that could happen. I would love it, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. I want so much, and I know we're not going to get it all.
Well, we have the option. So I guess, like, in this hypothetical, it's like, do you, I don't know, do you lean more towards the free agency? I mean, we're in a position to do both, and that's like the hard part, right?
So I think, right, because it's obviously it's draft before free agency, right?
Yes.
So to me, what would attract an Aiden? What would attract a Levine? It's to say, hey, I have an all-star, I have a top 4 pick, or 2, whatever, 1, whatever we get, and we have money. Come play with us. So, like, if you're gonna go that route, if you're gonna go after Aiden, if you're gonna go after Levine, you have to have something that they want. Mm-hmm. They want to win. They want money. Like, so let's get them players that can do that. So if that's what I would do. Like, I would go get me Chet or whoever. I don't know who we're gonna get. I don't want to say I don't want to pick, because I'll take whoever out of the top 3, out of Chet,
Paulo and
Jabari. Or Jabari. Yeah, I'll take. I think any one of those 3 are gonna, it's gonna make somebody say, "Hey, hell yeah, I'll go play with that kid and an all-star." You know what I mean? That's how I would feel.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a thing that I see that as, like, to me it's like you're talking go big or go home. You're like the thing that I'm, like, mainly focused on is, like, is San Antonio going to make moves? Is Brian Wright going to make moves?
He's shown that he's
willing
like
to.
The past years, yeah.
He's shown that he's willing to, and I think the only way that I can really be disappointed with the offseason is if we just kind of stand still. You know what I mean? Like, is if, like, one thing doesn't go our way, so then we're just like, all right, we're just gonna stand still. We're just not gonna go in this season. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a way that you can go in. Like try to fight, try to see what you can do to add talent to this roster. Because it's like, yeah, like if we just stand still, it's not, to me, it's not really going to go anywhere. It's not going to go as much farther as we can be. I love the development of our guys. I love seeing all this kind of stuff, but it's not like, to me, the ceiling of our team still isn't necessarily the contention that I feel like we want it to be, as a whole team. And so if that means that we need to make a move, 1 or 2, then I would be a little sad, obviously, but that means that we're trying to move the needle. That means that we're trying to go forward. And that's where I'm like, I just want to see us move, That's my biggest thing. That's my ideal offseason. In terms of moving pieces, real quick before y'all two get your things, I want to say that I am not willing to trade DeJounte Murray. That's not what I was saying. The other day, I looked on Twitter and uh, I had posted a April Fool's joke talking about we should trade DeJounte Murray for a late first round draft pick.
I was sad that I had to miss the beginning of the show. Claudia texted me the other day and was like, "Hey, did you know DeJounte Murray blocked Jakob?" And I told her about the exchange or whatever. And she was like, "Y'all should do a cold open for your last show and have him pleading to
give my sorry case, right?"
Yeah.
No, man, I was completely.
What did I tell you? What was the text that I sent you?
It's like play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And it killed me, man. I woke up one day and I was like, man, DeJounte just tweeted out this like super nice and happy tweet. I'm about to reply and be like, thanks, DJ. I'm about to have a good day now.
Nope,
and I clicked on that thing and it said, blocked from this user. And I
had to go and check on the HHC account to make sure that we weren't blocked too. I was like, if Jake gets us blocked, I'm gonna be so mad.
I was thinking that too, because like in Jacob's bio,
it's like
he has our stuff, and then he has like Devin Vassell fan club. So I bet you DJ is like, oh, well then go follow his ass. Bam, block.
Yeah, no, I was just like, I couldn't, man. I saw that.
You should have hit the Devin April Fool's tweet. If you want to be tweeting it, don't tweet at our all-star like that, cuz
I didn't think
that fool's all defense. He fucking blocked your ass quick.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding. It was definitely funny to see that. And I like sent it to our group chat and I was like, man, what did I do? Juan had the receipt right away. Juan had the receipt right away.
No business tweeting that out.
He was just like, I know what you did. And I was just like, oh, okay. But
Jake's over here tweet like DeJounte probably looks at the timeline, says Jake's a Spurs fan. He's like, trade DeJounte. Man, I really love Jimmy Butler. Man, Bam Adebayo's the defensive player of the year. Man, I love the East. Like, man, Jake, come on, dude.
This D'Lo jersey is gonna look real nice.
Oh yeah, you did say like D'Lo's real good at basketball. Like I think that was your previous tweet right before it, or something like that. But I was on Instagram. You know how DeJounte comes on Instagram like on live for like a minute, and then he's out.
Yeah.
So I was literally on Instagram. And he came on live, said, bam, I clicked on, I was watching it. He was like reading some of the comments and somebody was talking about playoffs or playoff basketball. So he addressed it and he's like, soon we'll be in the playoffs. That's what he said. And I put like next year, G. And as soon as I see like my comment pop up, he's like, y'all motherfuckers are boring. And he just like ended the like. So I felt like he read my comments and did it to me like right after he blocked Jake. And I was like, dang, man, this guy hates us.
Man, this is great though. It was great. To get my formal apology out there, DeJounte Murray, if you ever see this, I did not mean it.
You gotta pin a tweet. You know the little like on 2K they have that little thing that says untouchables.
Yeah.
You gotta just screenshot that picture of him on that little column.
Right. That's no funny. Kidding, man. It was great to to see that kind of stuff though, because I mean like I made it as an April Fool's joke. I was just like, we should just trade him for like a 30th pick in the draft. He's not.
But you never said April Fool's.
And I totally forgot about the tweet. I totally forgot about it. I tweeted that at like 9:00 in the morning. I think I fell back asleep. So it was just like,
you woke up just to hate on DJ and then went back to sleep.
I woke up, scrolled through Twitter, and I was like, "Oh, making April Fool's jokes. All right, I'll make my own April Fool's joke." And then I looked at the time.
That boy dozed off with a smile on his face too. It was like, that was a good one.
It was a good joke, man.
Hey, he probably did the same thing. He probably woke up, blocked your ass, and went back to sleep.
Yeah, right. No kidding, man. But it was also great that like that was April 1st, and I think I saw that tweet like 3 days ago, and it was like the 21st or something like that. So I saw it like half a month later, and it was just like, oh my goodness, like I've been blocked for a whole month and I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know, man. So it was great stuff, man. But Juan, Chris, what do you see your off season looking like, man?
You want to go on?
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like Jake had said a little bit, like I don't want us to stand pat and just draft a guy, and then you're kind of you're doing the same song and dance next year, and everybody's got to develop, and you're gonna have growing pains. I want I want to get like a top pick, but I don't know. I'm not willing to concede like a piece. Like I don't want to trade a Devin or a Jakob because I feel like you have to. I feel like you have to get rid of those one of those guys, and I think what's best for the team, like Jake said, you got to do something one or the other. If you don't trade up, then you got to try to go sign a guy. But I don't want us to sign like some middle of the pack guy for 25, 30 million and then it kind of handicaps us. It's got to be like DeAndre Ayton or somebody with like a potential where you could still see a next level in their game that can evolve when they come to San Antonio. Um, I, it's really simple for me. I kind of want to just draft at pick 9 and go in for free agency because I don't want to trade up and I don't want to give up any players. I want to just add to our team. I don't want to have to give up any pieces. Um, that's kind of just like how we said, like take a couple steps back, take a couple steps forward, and now it's lateral. I feel like you need to add a big piece in free agency, add a young like another lottery guy, and that's my ideal situation. Um, I have been floating it out there. I want DeAndre Ayton. I've been missing most of these Phoenix games in the playoffs. I hope they advance so I can get more opportunities to look at him. But the Phoenix situation with DeAndre Ayton, they didn't offer him the max deal, or they didn't offer him a deal at all. I'm not sure what went
I
on
think
there.
it just said that they weren't able to come to an agreement, right? I don't know if they did they
Which
specify.
which to me, like, it's like he wanted that max, and I
Yeah,
don't think they're willing to give it to him because
exactly.
you have a guy like what's his name, Bridges. I feel like they're gonna have to pay
Well, they
him
did pay
too.
him.
They
Yeah,
did.
he's
Oh, so
getting like
Yeah.
maybe
20
they
something mil.
picked. Yeah, do you think they
Um,
picked?
yeah. The
You've seen
biggest
it happen with OKC, right? Sometimes when you have all these good players, you pick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the biggest thing is that they were just like they really couldn't give or they didn't want to give him the max, and he wanted the max, so that was just like the biggest thing. And then like yeah, like Josh is saying, you have Book on your books, you have Bridges, Paul's still making decent money, so it's just like
Chris Paul is making he made 28 million. Sorry, he's making 28 million next year and then
mhm.
30 for the next 2 years after that. So they're locked in. They're locked in with Landry Shamet for like 4 years. So they just have a lot of money spent already.
And it's just like it's definitely a thing. It just like is a team like Phoenix willing to go into that tax to keep a
Well,
guy
that's
like
why
Aiden?
I think if you sign and trade Yak for Ayton, like it gives them a big that slots, and he doesn't need the ball in his hands next to like all those other guys.
And they're gonna,
And
but that's gonna
But do
have
we
to take capital
do
too.
we
You're gonna
need
have to
to?
trade a pick.
Do
Yeah,
we
you're gonna
need
have
to?
to.
Because they have like he's restricted or what?
well, he
No,
is
no, no.
He's
But
restricted.
go ahead.
he's a restricted free agent. So like technically, we don't have to do a sign and trade unless they're like, oh, we're just gonna match him and keep him,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
but if
No,
there is a price tag
it's
that
gonna
they
be for
didn't
Aiden,
give
right?
him,
It's
if
gonna be
there's a
for
price
Aiden
tag that
because
they
he can
didn't
make the
give him,
most
what
money
if?
staying. So
Well,
Yeah.
kind of,
Aiden,
yeah. It
Aiden,
would also,
Aiden, it would be beneficial for Aiden to re-sign and then get traded because he'll get the most money that way.
yeah. It also, yeah, like
I
the
see what you're saying.
Josh is saying that also goes into that account, and then as well, it's a thing of just like yeah, like if we're like hey, we're willing to do a sign and trade, then obviously that makes Phoenix more like susceptible. All right, we'll take Jakob off your hands for DeAndre Ayton, and I mean I know Josh is saying like that might involve a pick, but I don't really see that like being like I don't really see that happening too much. Who knows? Maybe hypothetically, right? We're going into this draft and
Wait,
we're like, hey,
you don't think that DeAndre Aiden for Jakob Poeltl's lopsided?
well, it's definitely lopsided, but if they know that they're not going to retain him, then that already lowers trade value. That already makes it like
Yeah.
DeMar type thing, where it's like they gave us Dad Young and a first round pick, which I mean, yeah, like you're saying, that to me, like, that already kind of answers it. Like, well, then that should be Yak in a first round pick or whatever. Hypothetically, what I was gonna say right now is just like we're gonna tell Phoenix, we have this 25th pick, we have Jakob, we can do a sign and trade, give you this stuff.
Yeah, if it's a positional need, it's going to help their books. They also get a pick, and also Jakob is way closer to DeAndre Ayton than Thaddeus Young is to DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah. So then
Al Farouk Aminu.
Yeah.
and that the other thing I was gonna say too is like, if you're Phoenix, you also think about it in this way. You're right now, like, the way that they're playing DeAndre Ayton is role player center. They're not playing him max.
Well, I don't agree with. I feel like he is like a focal point. It's just that it's just such a guard oriented league, and he gets like the Chris Paul like bucket like fed type offense, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
And with that being said, he still is pretty active. Like he gets a lot of touches, and he's got a lot of action around the rim.
Like he's doing a lot of things that like your run of the mill center isn't doing. But I'm saying
that's what I feel like his role would be with us, like pick and roll with DeJounte.
But he's not like. Oh yeah, but
you know what?
He could have a lot more.
Yeah, which is why I would that's my whole point. Ideal offseason, I would flip him and Jakob because it gives us the interior presence that Jakob just doesn't provide.
If you could do that, because Jake, like, if you think that you could get Jakob Poeltl for Ayton, and a late round pick, you wouldn't trade Devin and your 9th pick to go get the 4?
To go get a top 4 pick would.
That's why in my mind you're already doing the big move for DeAndre Ayton. And then now
I know, but like you would just rather have.
But that's what I'm saying. Like
just the one move. Like if you could make the multiple moves, you would.
Because that's kind of like what I'm saying. Like if you look at our team right now, you're replacing Jakob with DeAndre Ayton, and you get better in that sense.
Yeah, that's a bump up.
I would rather just add another pick and bank on a Devin Vassell improvement than getting rid of
Johnson improvement.
Yeah, then getting rid of Devin Vassell and replacing him with a guy who's just as good.
But to me, you wouldn't get rid of a Devin Vassell. Like you upgrade from a Devin Vassell because I think Keldon Johnson is a better 3 than Devin Vassell.
But in one scenario, he's upgrading at the 5 position. So it's like you guys are both trying to take steps forward.
Yeah, but I feel like you could just add a guy and keep Devin Vassell.
I think,
and then now you have multiple players. Now you have both Devin Vassell and a draft pick, and
instead of just the one.
You wait on that 9 to develop while you got Keldon coming into his own, Devin coming into his own.
And I think that's great, but I don't know, like to me,
DeAndre Ayton's only like 23, right?
Yeah, he's young.
So that's
the step forward right there.
I feel like and then now everybody continues to. That's my whole point, Josh. Is like I don't want to. I feel like this team is so young and we don't have a lot of money put everywhere that you can just add to the team. You don't have to just give away.
You don't have to give away
to make
to me.
It just will maximize the how big of a step you can take, as opposed to getting rid of Devin and you get like a little better now, but at some point, like they all could be together and all be.
I just feel like if you I know I feel like your plan is a step forward, but if we could just lose one, like if we lose 2 pieces and upgrade 2 pieces, I don't see how that's a bad thing.
Yeah, no. In this,
it's like you lose Devin. You lose Devin, but like our weak spot all year was our 4, not our 5. So if we upgrade our 5 and we upgrade our 4, like I feel like we're fine.
I think the thing
and now we don't have a 2. That in my mind
that's where we have Josh Richardson. We talked about we're gonna have him a whole season rather than half the season.
But he's not 20 point per game like out like forecast like Devin Vassell like 2 guard. You know what I mean?
Maybe you're banking on just letting Josh Primo take the minutes and
Devin averaged 12, 13 points a game this year, and Keldon did that last year, and then Keldon jumps up to 20 point per game. I'm just banking on that development.
No, well, I understand that, but I feel like if you get a guy like Aiton, because like then you wanna like you don't need that if you get Aiton because you're not gonna need the scoring because I feel like he provides the defense and the scoring that Jakob doesn't provide. That's I guess that's what I'm saying.
I see it more in the sense of like this year. I've said like earlier on the podcast, like it feels like the whole team needs to play well. And so, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, if DeAndre Ayton's going to be a 20 point per game guy, DeJounte's a 20 point, Keldon's like, that's your big three. You don't need, but
you don't need
like
Devin scoring 22.
But if somebody goes down or if somebody's having an off night, now this guy can step up. Like, if everybody's averaging 17, 18 points a game, if you have 4 or 5 guys doing that as opposed to 3 guys averaging 20 plus, like that's in my mind. It's because, like, I know you and Chris were able to watch most of that 2000 run like in depth. In my mind, I grew up watching the beautiful game basketball. Like Timmy didn't have to throw up 25 points a game, and it was just pass the ball, throw the ball around. Like you had 1 through 8 averaging 10 points a game, like at least 10 points with your top guys 17, 16 plus a game. Like that's what I saw, and I could like if I'm looking at the playoffs right now, I'm like who, like we could compete with that, like with 8 guys, 7 guys being 15 plus point game guys.
Yeah.
And that's my goal. That's why I want to just add guys, because if DeJounte, Devin, Keldon, and DeAndre, and I don't know what you would do with the 4 in my scenario, like who you would really play.
That's what I'm saying. I just
we'll also bring Miles Bridges.
Want to get away from Keldon. Like I told y'all 100 times over the last 2 years, Keldon is a 3. Like I know he's a stretch 4. Like I want him as a 3. So in
I think so too.
Scenario,
do you not think that there is a single and I would not know the answer no matter what you say, but do you not think that there's a suitable power forward at the 9 spot?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's kind of what I was hoping for.
And that's the only thing.
I don't think
that's the only thing with like this hypothetical is like
we're gonna have to draft another guard.
Yeah, for clarification, none of us really do pay attention too much to like the draft and like all that kind of stuff. And I mean like when I look at things like your best 3 players are a center, power forward at the top 3 of the draft, and then there's a guy like Keegan Murray who's like right top 5 to 7. And then like I think at number 9, the only person that what
if you can move from the 9 spot into the top like 6 and get a guy who's serviceable at the 4, but not have to give up a guy like Devin Vassell, you know what I mean?
Well, that's high hopes. I mean, then what are you gonna trade? You're gonna trade 9 and 20, whatever. Like
I'm sure you can trade 9 and 20 to move 2 spots. To go from 9 to 7, I'm sure some team knows.
That's if the guy is there, because I think he's gonna go 5.
And so that's what I'm saying, right? Like that's why
I'd rather give up like all the picks and Jakob Pertl for a power forward or whatever.
That's
what if we did that and then just threw the big money at Aiden
and that's what I said. That's what I said. You're gonna you talking about Jakob Pertl. It's Jakob or Devin. I think I said that last show or
like Chris said, like you just trade all that and then you just give the max to Phoenix, and if they don't want to pay him, then you just get that way. You know what I mean? And maybe you give up future first in that deal instead of like a player, like multiple future first.
Yeah, because I mean, when you talk and it's like, what does your ideal offseason look like? For me, it's kind of the same what you're saying about we just have to make some kind of moves, and if we don't do anything this year and we just draft our guys, we're going into next year we're coming towards the end of DeJounte Murray's like next contract. You know what I mean? And it's like you got to show him that we're making moves to win, like in the near. You know what I mean? Like we're coming to that era of his time with us already. So like
also to try to compete with the contract that we have him on right now.
Exactly. Like you have to set you have to start all those things now. Well, yeah. So it's like I'm with you guys on that. It's like we want to see steps forward, right? Like so I'm with you guys on that. I just want to see a little bit of I just need to see activity basically.
Mhm.
And based off of these conversations, like there's just a lot of options that we can go. Real quick, is there anybody else that is kind of catching your names that's like on this free agency list? Bradley Beal.
So I've said before that I'm a fan of Miles Bridges, to be that 4 spot if like things kind of don't go the way that we need them to go in terms of drafting a 4, and we have to fill that spot in through free agency.
Mhm.
Then yeah, like for me, Miles Bridges is a guy that a lob threat for DJ, can
Is he a
space the
max
floor.
guy?
I don't know if I want to give him the max.
It said that that's what he's like looking for. That's the last
Yeah,
thing that
because
it said.
that's what I thought, that he wanted a max too, and I would
And
much rather give Aiden a max.
yeah, no, I'm not necessarily willing to give him
That's what I was
max
saying. Like,
money.
I don't want us to settle in free agency and give that much money to the players like that.
Right.
And that's what I'm scared of. That's why I want to go.
But
I
if we're
wanna
able
go
to
all
like
in the draft,
if we're able to move off of Dougie's contract, or I think what is he making, like 14 million?
13.7.
13.7, right? So we are able to get off of Doug's contract. That's 13 million plus 7 to 8 million. That would make like 22 million right there, right? 22 million for a guy like Miles Bridges. If we can give him that money, I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that.
I'm not. That's money that's going to Keldon, and
Yeah,
I would
which
not
I
do
mean,
that.
yeah, like I understand that. I understand that. But like if we're trying to fill in holes and we're trying to get ready to compete, that's Miles Bridges is a guy that I think we could use on our team because he does have some good size and he can add.
He could throw fits and throw things at the crowd.
But also speaking to that though, like if you were to lock him in though, starting now, you would have time. I mean, by the end of this next year, you're not paying Josh Richardson $12 million. There's probably some we don't know about Lonnie Walker if we're committing any money to him at this point. So I don't know. There's just a couple other spots. Romeo Langford is making $5 million with us, or we have the option on him for next year. That's something that we don't even really have to use. Zach Collins is another movable contract that I think that we probably should try to move off of already, or at least moving forward. If you're going to get a guy like Bridges, it makes Zach Collins money. Like get that money gone. Get Doug's money gone like quick. You know.
Yeah. Now I do agree. Like if everybody's going to be good, you can't pay everybody. So like if DeJounte's going to have to get paid again, and Keldon's going to be a focal point, like if you try to go all in this free agency, you're not going to be able to re-sign. Like if Devin Vassell takes steps like that, you're not going to be able to re-sign that guy anyways. If Primo becomes like good, like how are you going to be able to pay everybody 20 plus million? You know, like if they're all supposed to be.
Primo is gonna be good because like they're all Primo will be all right to pay because that first contract, he's gonna be making a little bit less. I feel because of his opportunities. Josh, the first time he got paid, like what do you say?
It's gonna be like the DeJounte contract. I feel like Primo's gonna be surrounded by so many guys. His numbers aren't gonna be that great, and then we're gonna re-sign him.
And he's still gonna be on an upward trajectory though. By the time we sign him for that second contract, he's gonna be like 22, 23.
Yeah, and and so he'll be a baby, and hopefully you don't have to pay him like
outrageous.
I don't know. Yeah, outrageous money, and so like I agree. It's like you're not going to be able to keep everybody. Like if you hope everybody's going to be great, 20 plus point per game guys. Like how are you going to reach? Because Mikal Bridges got like 20 plus million, and I know he's like depoy like conversation and stuff. I think he was second in depoy, and like is Devin Vassell that good? Like not right now. Like so he's going to get less money than that hopefully. Like so I agree. Like if Devin Vassell plays out of his price range, then you probably be better off trading him.
He might have took a discount because, like Chris said, they already got money everywhere. And I didn't realize they had that much money spread out like that. So
you talking about Phoenix or who?
Yeah, as far as Phoenix, so we don't know what what he could have got on a different team.
Phoenix is the team that I kind of base like my offseason model on because Jake's talked to it a couple times too. It's like that was a young team who had all-star level player, and yeah, they got the number one pick in DeAndre Ayton, but he wasn't like changing their franchise like a Timmy or like LeBron or nothing like that. You know what I mean? He was a good player. He wasn't Luca and Trey those first couple of years, and they get the big free agency addition in Chris Paul, and their whole team just turned around and they had nothing but young players
Yeah.
that were talented, and Chris Paul was the winning piece. Now I don't know if DeAndre Ayton would be that for us, but that's kind of where I'm at. Where it's like you got
See,
Dejounte All Star, young players everywhere across the board. You can
To
just
me,
add to it.
like the quote unquote Chris Paul in the situation is San Antonio's like front office in that sense, right? Or like our coaching and all that kind of stuff. Like we have our brain, you know what I mean? We have the guy that's like gonna help put all of this talent together to make them good. But now we just need the talent, which is like how Phoenix had it. You know,
yeah.
they got their brain in Chris Paul / Monty Williams, and then they were able to they had all of this good talent, and they with a guy like Chris Paul were able to use that talent and make a finals run and a potentially another finals run this year. So to me, it's like, yeah, like our brain is the San Antonio coaching staff. These guys have proven time and time of again that they can like adapt and compete and all that kind of stuff. For a second, I think we all thought that it was kind of like they couldn't, but I think this year's shown that Pop and them have been able to change it up and change the system and be able to show that we can still win. You know, even with the guys that we have around us. And so then you just add more talent to that, and I think you can start riding the Spurs in for contending kind of stuff, just like how Phoenix was. You know.
Yeah. And like Phoenix, in terms of just their, like basing how they're doing their money, like, I don't know, man, like they might have just put themselves in a hole. Like, I mean, so like next year, and these are movable contracts for them, but they owe Jay Crowder 10 million next year, Dario Saric 9 million, Cameron Payne 6 for the next 2 years, Torrey Craig 5 million, Cameron Johnson has
You're gonna have
Still
to
be on
pay him.
rookie.
it's a qualifying offer. So they owe him almost 6 million next year, and then they have a qualifying offer of 8 million for the year after.
Yeah.
So but I mean, like those, and then everybody else after that, they probably won't be on their team beyond that.
Mm-hmm.
And Landry Shamet, man, they're locked in at he's getting 9 million next year, 10 million the year after, 11 million the year after, and 11.7 the year after. So
Even a guy like Dario Saric probably isn't going to be on that team.
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Like Dario Saric, they owe 9 million, so they're probably going to try to move that. Jay Crowder, they owe 10 million. Are they? I mean, he's been a staple for them during these deep runs, but like money wise, are they trying to save money to keep Ayton? You know what I mean? It's like those are the decisions they're having to make right now. So like we're in a position where we might be able to just capitalize off of that, I guess, is basically what I'm trying to say, is on how they set their books up. Because I mean, for all that what you guys were just talking about of bringing in the Chris Paul and him being the guy to take you over the top, the price tag of that is you owe him 30 million for the next 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And obviously he's old too. So it's like, we might be able to do something similar to them, but have a better outlook for the future. Cause like, think about what Phoenix is going to look like if Chris Paul starts to decline rapidly or just gets hurt in general.
And then they lose Ayton.
Exactly. Yeah. Or exactly. So it's like, think about Phoenix post Chris Paul, post Ayton. They could happen soon.
Potentially both of those things could happen next year. And Phoenix will not be Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like,
or even like right now, like Devin Booker just got hurt, and you're not wishing injury on them or anything like that, but let's say it takes him out for the rest of this postseason. He's not able to perform the way he wants to.
He's out for multiple weeks, right? So if they lose, like, just if New Orleans could pull off the upset, like that's a massive fail to go to your finals 1 year and then to lose everything the next year. Like,
yeah, imagine exactly. And so again, it's like the optics of it, like that could fall in our favor too. A guy like Ayton says, now that I'm looking at the future of this team, I don't know if it's in my best interest to lock myself in here for the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Maybe you get one more good year of Chris Paul, and then you're stuck with 3 years of bad Chris Paul or whatever. And let's see. As of next year, so Devin Booker is on the same. I think Devin Booker is on the same timeline as like DeJounte Murray. So the same time that you're looking to pay DeJounte Murray, you're having to pay Devin Booker if he were to stay in Phoenix. And Devin Booker's probably making. Well, actually, DeJounte is going to move up into that Booker range, right into that 30 something million a year too. So
DJ 80 mil.
Just DeAndre Ayton. I think I'm just gonna keep watching. I'm gonna try to like watch more games like of the playoffs and see if he can be like the guy. Like especially like right now, Devin Booker's out. Like because it'd be important. Like because who else on that team could step up outside of Chris Paul?
It's got to be the guy. It's got to be the guys that you pay. You got to ask Mikal Bridges, Cameron Payne, and then lean on a guy like Jay Crowder to kind of help you along the way. He looked good. He was able to finish over the top of Valanciunas multiple times.
That's what I was going to say.
He was able to put him on his back and still have like not. I mean, obviously he's not backing up Valanciunas, but like he was able to just not feel like a big man was taking him out of his game at the center position. So like I was DeAndre Ayton, how with the ball in his hands with a guy like Valanciunas on him, it wasn't like Valanciunas was taking him out of whatever he was trying to do.
Because Valanciunas made Jakob look silly. And if you're praising DeAndre Ayton like this, then I'm making the trade immediately.
Exactly. So me out and you guys know me, like I've been hypercritical of how we play from the 4 and the 5 spot. So like I don't want, and when I see the size, DeAndre Ayton looks a little smaller to me, and I do not want us to pay money to a guy who's gonna feel like he's not satisfactory at his position. So like that's how I've been watching him, with a little bit of that lean of like, I want to see, are you gonna get cooked on any moment because of your size, because of how you play or whatever. And I haven't seen it yet. I mean, he's looked good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's funny. It's like we're scouts. Like we're like scouting DeAndre Ayton during the series.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like, in watching the game that Devin Booker's out, it's like, yeah, like this is, and you saw it. I don't know if you guys saw it over Twitter and stuff like that, but you see the highlights and people are talking about, man, DeAndre Ayton has a bag. Like he's got like an offensive skill set that's like can go crazy. And it's like, yeah, like I think everybody knows that, but it's because of the role that Phoenix has put him in, which isn't, it's not bad because they're winning. It's not bad because they're winning, but it's just not expansive for him, for him specifically to get his due. Like that's why like it doesn't look nearly as like, oh man, like is this something that DeAndre Ayton can do? It's like, no, you should know that he can do it. He's had multiple times, especially even like last year. Like last year, you're not expecting a guy like DeAndre Ayton to like step up because of how young he is. He like had those couple games in the like the playoffs where I think I want to say like Chris Paul,
like third round into the NBA Finals, he was still playing well, playing well against big names.
And you're like, like he's like stepped up in what they asked him to do and stuff like that. And you're like, oh man, like this is a guy that can get like, like you can see the things that you can do if you have him on your team and you're not just running a whole, like Juan was saying, like a whole guard centric type of play,
Yeah.
If we are allowing DeAndre Ayton to get post touches, that just opens the game up for everybody else.
Else. So I mean, like from that point of view, I've warmed up to the idea of Ayton a lot.
If you have a guy like Ayton, then I don't mind Devin shooting 10 threes. If you're going to play inside out, that's the difference between Danny Green and Devin Vassell. Like we had just the guys inside, even Boris, like Boris would put you on his back too. And he'll back somebody all the way down and then make the pass. Like it's just different. That's why it kind of bumps me out when I see Devin Vassell shooting 12 threes a game.
Yeah.
No, he needs to shoot that many threes because we need to shoot more threes anyways. But he needs to add 10 drives to the basket a game. Like he needs to do both. He can't just be 3-point shooting. Like he can't just be a 3-point specialist. He needs to drive, and I think he will. But like, yeah, come like passes out of the post for like a off of like a double team or swinging the ball around. Yeah, those threes are going to be so much better looks. I don't know. I'm scouting this playoff series, and I haven't even been able to watch more than 2 games. I watched game 1 and the second half of game 3 for the Phoenix series, and I want I want to see if DeAndre Ayton can be the guy. I want him to throw up another 30 and 15 game because then it makes you feel comfortable like when LA came to town and he was dropping like 40-point bombs in certain games in the playoffs. He had like back to back. But I don't want him to disappear like LA would a couple of times, you know? And I want DeAndre Ayton to be like seriously like a he doesn't have to be the guy. Like DeJounte Murray can still be the leader, can still like they can get like your leadership other way. You just need talent in the
Yeah.
interior presence.
And he's shown that he can be productive in what is essentially the third position behind Booker and Chris Paul. So like, if anything, you're still showing him like, we want you to do all the things that you've done, which is to be successful in traffic or with a lot of things happening, but we want you to slide into like more of a number two position. You know what I mean? We want more from you, or we want to give you more. Basically, is how you position it.
Not even number two. Tell him, hey man, like we'll let DJ be the number two. We'll let you have that offensive like production. We want you to be the guy that we go to at the in the game because you are the number one guy on this team on our offensive end.
Yeah, or even if it's like there's gonna be moments where DJ is now running balls in his hand. We're gonna run our high pick and rolls. And
it's gonna be 1A and 1B.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
They're both number ones. You're gonna say, hey, it's your team and it's DeJounte's team. Y'all are gonna go win it for us. Like
but it's a thing. It's a thing where it's like Will in a sense like this. Like we just you would love to see a guy like DeJounte be your number two option. You know what I mean? If like on a night to night basis, DeJounte is the second guy scoring. You love that kind of stuff. That's the kind of thing that you want to see, And so then it's like, all right, we're gonna give these touches, kind of like how we would do with LA. We'd give these touches to you at the very beginning of the game. If it doesn't look like it's what we want, bam, now we got DeJounte to see what he can do, And then we run pick and rolls, and then we seeing if Keldon's out there scoring too. It's stuff like that where it's just like there's a lot of good that could come out of getting a guy like DeAndre Ayton and his skill set for our team.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now I'm excited for like as if we're really gonna get him.
I know, right? and it kind of it's like you kind of have to lean that way though.
We're gonna get Miles Bridges one.
Yeah, so I'm looking at like the set for sure, like the center free agents. It's other than DeAndre Ayton, man. I mean, it's a pretty big drop off. Yusuf Nurkic, Derek Favors, Serge Ibaka, Zubac, Mo Bamba, Robin Lopez.
I'll take Mo Bamba.
There's some names on here, I guess.
Obama's young, so that's Mitch
Robinson.
I'll take Mo Bamba. Yep, that guy's like hitting 6 threes a game.
Yeah, I mean, so there's names, but I mean, obviously, like it's a pretty big drop off from a guy like Ayton to the rest that I'm looking at.
Juan, how would you feel if that was like the direction that we went? If we let's just say hypothetically, we traded, we were able to make this crazy trade where we were able to trade all three of our picks plus Jakob and got like number 2, got Paulo, right? Paulo's our 4 now, and then we pay Mo Bamba $19 million a year to come to our team. Like, how do you feel about that?
I would like that. I would like a 4 and a 5 as well. I personally want Jabari over
Paulo.
Paulo. But
either way, you're getting your 4, and then you get a guy like Mo Bamba.
And I think like the dual size will help because I still feel like Mo Bamba would just get thrown around like by Jonas Valanciunas in a playing game as well, and then we're like you're getting thrown around by those actual big guys. We've thrown Mo Bamba around with Jakob, you know what I mean? Like, but I get what you're saying. Like, I would take a flyer on one of those younger guys like that's not going to be commanding max deals, and they just asking him to be like kind of like Jakob, like just be big, just be.
Yeah. And maybe it's like a 2-year deal. Like it's nothing.
So
crazy.
then on the flip side, instead we're trading, and then we get Chet, who's a center. And we sign a guy like Miles Bridges.
I don't want that guy. Even if
I don't really want. 20, I'm not telling you that I want a center either. Like I don't want to get him.
I'm saying I don't want Chet.
Yeah, but that's
that he plays center.
I'm saying in the sense like in this hypothetical, it's that like
because of his size?
I'm on the size where like he's gonna be like bust. Like I just feel it. Like he's not gonna be like as good as those other 2 guys.
dude,
Well, okay,
that guy's
still
crazy.
in this hypothetical, you're getting a center that you like. Okay, you're getting a center that you like. All right. Um, you know that this guy is in the draft, and you're getting him with the third pick in the draft or whatever. And then in the offseason, you're getting a guy like Miles Bridges.
Yeah,
Like you
but
still don't.
you're not paying Miles Bridges Biombo money. I mean, not Biombo, Mobamba money.
Yeah, I
You know what
don't
I
want
mean?
Miles Bridges at all. I in any scenario, if we had 0 players on the roster, I would not take Miles Bridges.
So with these power forward, like in this scenario, we're our free agent target is more of a power forward. What about like Marvin Bagley the third?
Well, see then, and I
How
mean,
did he play when he got traded?
yeah, I think I mean better than Sacramento because he actually had a role to play in with
Yeah.
Detroit.
So you got Marvin Bagley, Montrezl Harrell's an unrestricted.
Maybe we just save our money and kick the can next year again, like how we did
So
last
that's
year.
that's what I'm saying. You pay a guy like decent money, mid money, and it's about like a 2-year deal, so that
But if we
you're
keep our
not locked
money,
in.
if we keep the money, then that means we're probably not going to do anything in the draft, which means we're going to have 3 more players. Which
Yeah,
who's leaving then?
yeah, because now you have to let Lonnie walk, and
Lonnie
Well,
Walk.
either you let Lonnie walk, or there goes shoot.
like,
Well, Doug could still be Lonnie's
well,
money.
again, like I said, like Kata's roster spot. I love Kata, and every time I would see like he did so much good for the team. Like, but there should be no hesitation, right? Like,
Like I said, I
You
think
need
that
a you need a guy
we're
that
gonna
does.
draft the guy that's better than Joe right now. Like
yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
Joe
our
doesn't
first
Kata,
take.
2 pick.
Kata,
Oh,
Joe, and maybe Jock, maybe like those guys at the bottom. If you like what you're getting in that first round pick,
Yeah,
then you're not,
Kata's expendable. Jock is
yeah,
expendable.
you're
Yeah,
not tripping if you're letting those guys walk because you're getting in first round picks. Now, I don't want us to just start like, oh my god, we signed another or we drafted another 2 guard. All right, by Josh Richardson. Like, yeah, like get rid of Joe, get
Langford.
rid of Langford, like get rid of those guys. Exactly, Langford, like
Oh, so there
people,
goes Joe Langford and Jock.
yeah, and
Yeah,
Even though I don't want to get rid of Jock, but
yeah, and Kata, like those are
yeah.
roster spots where like I don't mind. People are gonna complain like all we do is draft rookies and we don't play them. Well, if those guys are the 12 through 15 on our roster, like I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I think and I don't think
Right.
the number 9th pick is going to be 12 through 15 on the roster. But like if you're sliding people down because of that, I think it's only been you have talent. There's nothing wrong with having the most talent 1 through 15, even if your top end is not the highest form. Like you're not. You've seen what Kevin Durant and Kyrie are doing with a poor roster. But if your roster can be, you know what I mean, like 10, I don't know, 10 deep. That's just what I'm banking on. That's what I'm hoping for. And I'm not like in love with the free agents. Like the I'm scared of like the Bradley Bill like injury stuff. The Zach Levine, like he's injury prone a little bit. I saw that he hasn't played more than 70 games since like his 3rd year in the league. Um, I don't know if DeAndre Ayton has like injury problems or not, but like at least you've seen them compete and like dominate in the NBA like stretches. And if you have a chance to add, I think Bradley Bill sign the extension or is he a free agent?
He's a free agent, but
So
I think it's like
he could sign that big old
he has
deal.
a player option for this upcoming year, I think.
like if you sign Zach Levine or Bradley Bill, then it's like the same thing I said like Derek White. Like it's gonna hurt, but like if you gotta get rid of Devin Vassell, like you're not because you're gonna pay Devin Vassell 20 million a year when you're already paying a 2 guard like that much money? Like no.
Yeah,
So if that's the direction you go in, then yeah, maybe flip Devin in the picks for that top 5 pick. But I personally would just like to add talent without having to give up any.
yeah,
And if you can sign DeAndre Ayton, if you could add like the number 9 pick to a team that's developing, I don't know. That's just kind of where I'm at right now. I don't I don't know. I don't have anything else to add like as far as that because it's that I'm probably gonna be pretty consistent with that take. I agree with look, we got to do something. We can't
yeah.
just
hmm
I'm looking
wait.
at these two. Yeah, the two guards are pretty bare. Um, other than like the Zach Levine unrestricted, Bradley Beal has that player option, which I don't think he's taken yet. Um, and then you're pulling up on a guy like Lonnie Walker already. You know what I mean? Or maybe if you try to pay a guy like Victor Oladipo a little bit less or something, I don't know, based off of just his age and whatever.
That's a Jake signing.
But for me, like that would be a signing for me that fits into again somewhere in that 11 through 14 depth chart kind of thing. Not anything that's going to replace minutes or money, but just to show that it's a pretty thin. It's kind of thin when you look there. For like a 3, let me throw some names out. Let me see.
Surprised Juan knew that Victor Oladipo was one of my favorite players.
Yeah, not a surprise. Isn't he on your team right now?
Right.
He is on the Miami Heat.
How'd you wait? I thought I was talking about Boston. I thought you said I didn't realize Miami Heat was your team.
They're not. I can't.
We can pick up Thanasis, and then maybe that'll start the seeds of Giannis coming over.
Perfect. That's a perfect 15 spot too, right there.
Yeah, he's got a player option.
I'll take all of them. Give me Costas too.
Right.
I'll sign all the Antetokounmpos. I think there's a fourth one.
I'll sign his dad. Oh, Alex.
Yeah. Bring all of them if it'll get Giannis to San Antonio. He's already done his job. He won. No, so I don't know if there was like any other talks, like talking points you want to do before the show ended, but I was gonna bring up. I had kind of was just thinking this. I've been watching the Minnesota and the Memphis series because I really want Memphis to lose, and Minnesota. I didn't get to watch the game 4 at all, but I watched that game 3. Like Minnesota just collapsed. Like it kind of like, and then you look at Karl Anthony Towns' stat line, and he's like non-existent in the games they lose, and in the games they win, he's got like 30 and 15, and like I could not help but think, I was like, this reminds me so much of LaMarcus. Like I touched on it just like a couple minutes ago. Like Karl Anthony Towns like disappears from games, and it blows my mind how talented he is, and he's just like out there, just like running around, like fouling people, and it's just like.
Yeah.
Do you guys see like any similarity like I think Karl Anthony Towns is a more talented player, I guess.
Yeah, I would say way more talented because like the LA stuff will kind of catch you off guard, or he's just very quiet about it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Karl Anthony Towns takes himself out of the game, and it's a big thing, like to the point where he's pouting on the sidelines, and even when he's not playing, the camera's still on him. So like it just feels way different. Yeah, like the games that he takes himself out of, it's like it's the thing that makes me. It's the other end of it. It's like I want to see Memphis beat them because I don't think they deserve to be anywhere near the second round of the playoffs at all. Like Minnesota, like they're just not mature enough for it, and I don't want to watch that kind of basketball. I don't want to reward that kind of basketball. Like I don't really like watching them play. But I get what you're saying about the production side. I can see that comparison.
Outside of Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards. I mean, he's young, so he loves the spotlight.
Karl Anthony Towns is the leader and the face of their franchise, though, and so.
But Anthony Edwards and D'Lo,
it's easy to not like to watch them because their best player acts like a baby.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So you brought a pretty good point there. I wasn't really like thinking of like Karl Anthony Towns takes himself out of the games when LA would just he'd be like, where's LA been? Because there'd be games in the playoffs where it's like
LA might take himself out too, like not be as assertive or whatever, but Cat will take himself out because he doesn't understand mentally moments of he doesn't understand like somebody tweeted it out perfectly. It said Karl Anthony Towns does not understand situational basketball at all, and it's like that's true. Like he just doesn't get how refs are calling him on one game might change to the next. He doesn't understand push and pull of momentum. He doesn't really get he doesn't know how to be effective in all of like. Throughout those ups and downs of the game. It's got to be running this way for him, or he's going to barrel his way into making it feel like that. And that's just not a winning formula.
Well, so
and you would think that the addition of Kevin Garnett would have, whenever they had him, remember they had him like.
Yeah, but he pushed back on all of that stuff. He pushed back on the Jimmy Butler stuff. He pushed back on that. Like He's not
Well, to
like
me,
and so right now, who's their leader? And I
but
said this a
but
couple of episodes ago. Go ahead.
Kevin Garnett and Jimmy Butler to me are the same. To me, like, you know how Pop said, I mean, DeJounte Murray said that when you come to San Antonio, you have to want to be coached. And Pop is not for everybody. Jimmy Butler and Kevin Garnett, to me, like, they're assholes. They're assholes, and they're trying to get the best out of you, but they probably go about it a little bit rougher than some people
Maybe.
cannot handle. Like, they're assholes. So, like, he hasn't had anybody. Like,
Maybe,
he's 26,
but when
and he
you
had those type of
say
players.
yeah, and also to his credit, he's had a lot of instability with the coaching,
Head
right?
coaches.
But
He hasn't had
also
anybody.
But also, like you just said it yourself, like when you come to San Antonio, you have to be coachable, or you have to, you know what I mean? And it's like, if you're the number one option, you should be coachable. You should feel like you can help your team in more than one way versus like, it's gotta be this way. And right now, like they're taking all their emotional and all their maturity talking points or their whatever, their DNA, they're starting to seep it and grab it from Patrick Beverly, which there's a lot of good things about that, right? The grit and all of that kind of stuff. But there's also the other things, and I've said it before. The last couple episodes is like Pat Bev has to be like that because of the deficiencies in his game. Cat doesn't have to be like that. He could just dominate if he wanted to. You know what I mean? Stone faced the whole time if he wanted to. He tried a little. You said you didn't get to watch the game yesterday. He tried.
He started off like strong, right?
He tried in the best way I've ever seen him to like not get too high or too low with his emotions. He was making shots and he would let out little outbursts. He would get frustrated and he would let out little things. But yesterday was the best I've seen him manage those things by far. And they were able to respond in tough moments of the game. And yeah, Memphis played like kind of uncomfortably, or at least John Moran did, like basically the whole game. So there's probably other factors, but
dude, Memphis is one freaking meltdown away from being.
It's a way closer match of that 2-7. It is. So I understand what you're saying about. I understand what you're saying about wanting to see Memphis fall down too, because they have similar things, right? It's like, well, you guys talk a big game, even though you haven't really got there yet. Yeah. But they also they talk and they play hard and they talk hard. And sometimes Minnesota just talks hard and plays real wimpy. So it's like that's where that difference is for me.
Yeah, both teams like are annoying in the same way to me, and I just, because Memphis is in our division, I just want to see them lose because
it's been crazy to see Brooks been mighty quiet this whole series, man. He hasn't said anything.
It's another thing for me too that like it's crazy, like, you know, like we've talked about, like I were talking about with like Cat and like all these different coaches. I still think they need a different head coach. I don't think David Finch is the coach.
They were praising him, and it made me think when I was watching them praise him. I think it was last night. It was making me think because I kind of was not bashing on the head coach, but I was talking about a couple episodes ago about how like they just haven't had anybody in there to give any kind of leadership. And in my opinion, I was like, I don't know who this new guy is, but I don't think he's doing it either.
Exactly.
And so it made me ask myself, like, am I being too hard on this guy? Do I not really know him? I haven't really watched how his philosophies are. But it's like, if you're the leader, which as a head coach, you do have leadership in that point of view, and you're okay with your team's DNA kind of feeling this way, then I don't know if I align with that kind of philosophy anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the thing that like I think about. I'm just like, no, I like if he's letting a guy like Cat like get into like this foul trouble and not like in a sense like helping him kind of calm down or something like that, like there's got to be something that
should be number one on your list if you're applying for that position. It's like, I am gonna turn our 7 years, he's like 6 or 7 years into his career now. I need, that's my top priority, is to turn him around.
Yeah,
is to see a jump in his maturity so that it can match his head coaches, skills.
Steve Nash is the worst head coach in the playoffs.
Steve Nash is not good.
When his players baited him into challenging that it was like the worst challenge call, and it was so funny too because it was like
and and that's the
instantly
assistant coach. They have that assistant coach that like tells.
Yeah,
It's
so
mainly the coaches.
I thought that too. I was like,
They
the
look to the
Spurs
coaching
very
staff.
clearly have that one guy who sits in the second row with his iPad, and it's a chain of command. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
him.
dude. Well,
He gives his ruling, and then
Udoka
all
did it
the
last
coaches
night.
do. Yeah, I saw. He looked. He goes,
When
"Was it a
Tatum-
foul? Was it a foul?" And then they
Yeah,
gave
when
the.
Tatum blocked Kevin Durant, and I think he got ball before he got the hand. It was, to me, it was a clean block. Anyways, Ime looked at his coaching staff, like he did that. He got the nod. He turned around, timeout, challenge it, whatever. And I'm like,
it's weird how like other
garbage.
teams, yeah, like they're just you get three players doing this all at once, and they're just real inclined to be like, well, all right, let's do it.
Well, is Mike D'Antoni still on that staff? Because isn't that what they said? Like when they hired like Mike D'Antoni like as the assistant coach, he was basically there to like show Steve Nash like this is like the coaching stuff. Didn't he leave?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I don't think Mike D'Antoni's left. I feel like because
Oh.
I mean he's not a head coach anywhere, obviously, and like I don't think he's gone from that Brooklyn Nets staff still. I think he's still
and that's
in
why
the-
that's why a lot of people clown the Nets too, is right because Kyrie was like we don't really need a coach, and that's why they
Yeah.
hired Steve Nash is because like but what is he there for then? Like why bring him in or I don't know like
Exactly.
they didn't want to be governed or like have somebody tell them.
That's kind of it, and I understand that, like the mindset of like you don't feel like you need to have somebody calling plays for you all day, and that's great because you guys are free and you got a lot of skill, so we want to put the trust in you to just do your thing. But yeah, I mean, you got to have somebody who knows when to reel your guys in, when to give context to your dudes. I don't see Mike D'Antoni on their staff anymore.
Yeah, so I think
Maybe
that
he's
was
not.
another thing this year is like he left and
He's got he's got Jacques Vaughn on his assistant. That's the only guy that like is a Adam Harrington is a player development, but he was a former player, I'm pretty sure. Who else? That's the only one that I've seen that like sticks out to me of like, okay, this guy's been on an NBA bench before. But
where's Tiago at?
Thiago's there too, but he's just oh, I guess it still says assistant coach, but then it says / player development.
Team's great. Yeah, no, Juan, you haven't you weren't on last week, so I do have to kind of get a couple of your playoff predictions. We don't have to make it too long. If there's any teams that like kind of surprised you or anything like that, you can talk about them. But then like if you feel like you have a team that you think is going all the way, then just put it out there.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to cut you off or whatever, but I'm on call and I'm getting a call, so I'm gonna have to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, at least we got a good little run in.
For sure. I'm gonna just hear what Juan has to say about the playoffs, and then we'll wrap it up. But Josh, go ahead. We'll go ahead and see you out then.
It was a good season. I'm pretty sure we'll get back on, right? Draft.
Yeah,
we'll do something.
We'll have to film at some point. Jake is going to be, away from us most of the summer doing his thing. But we'll have to film something of Josh's punishment for being last place on the scoreboard, though. We got to figure that out.
For sure. But all right, and then Josh,
I'll 1v1 you for
I didn't get first. That was Juan. So.
Oh, second, first. I'm coming for whatever.
But all right, then Josh, you have a good day.
Peace. I guess you'd ask me like any playoff predictions. I don't know. Most of the series are over.
Yeah.
Or like getting there. I wasn't expecting Utah to be so bad against Dallas, and then
Dallas without Luka,
and then Luka comes back, and Dallas is like, all right, well, I guess we'll just let our dominant ball hog just hold the ball the whole time, and I mean, I don't know, like it blows my mind NBA philosophies and like the teams that what they decide to do, they like. So that series is kind of just like I don't know, two bad teams, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, you're so successful with a guy like Brunson bullying his way into the paint, and it was so fun to watch him do that too.
Yeah,
put those bursts on, and then instead, Luka's all hobbled on one leg. It's all slow.
Yeah, and so that's crazy. And then obviously Utah is just falling apart. Like as far as like people are like ready to blow the team up for them.
Yeah,
And
no kidding.
so that's been kind of like interesting to look at. Obviously, like the New Orleans, I didn't think New Orleans was gonna beat Phoenix like in a 7-game series, like even with Devin Booker going out, but that's like interesting to see, like because like all the talk we talked about DeAndre Ayton being like a focal point and having to step up, and Chris Paul closed that game out like crazy. That last game. The what are the other like the goal? I was not expecting Golden State to basically sweep
To sweep.
the Nuggets.
Yeah, that's one that I've been like the most wrong about.
Yeah,
Because first of all, I had Denver winning, but that was when I didn't know that Steph was even what his availability was even going to be.
yeah,
But I just felt that like where they were the weakest at was where Denver's the strongest at, which is through the post, right? And it's just been a lot of like let him do his thing, and we're gonna hold
yeah,
everybody else,
exactly.
kind of thing.
Classic,
Or not even we're gonna
Let him
hold
do
everybody
this.
else. It's like it's like we're gonna dare everybody else because nobody's been able to really step up.
And
Yeah,
then not to mention the fact that Draymond's defense is still very impactful on Jokic too.
And Chuck makes a good point when they were making fun of him with that little clip, and he was like, "When you got a guy banging on you and banging on you or whatever."
yeah,
But it is true of like they're playing you tough, and you're just trying to ram your head into the wall again and again, hoping it breaks. And it's like you're not only are you wearing yourself up, but you're also losing. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
like that one's been crazy.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
that one completely missed too. I thought it was gonna be 6 or 7 game series. I didn't know Steph was just I don't know like ready. I thought he was gonna be out for a couple of games. There's been a lot of talk about Steph Curry being like oh he's so selfless, blah blah blah. Like this guy let Kevin Durant walk onto his team. He never made a fuss about Iguodala winning that Finals MVP. Like and Steve Kerr is
Now with Jordan Poole
yeah
with a
like
much bigger role, like
and Steve Kerr has said like he's our Tim Duncan. Like there's only one reason why we have so much success. It's because our best player is not a stingy ball hog. I need my stats. I need my awards type of person. Because you see that all over the NBA. Like Luca comes back and like well now Luca has to like be part of like a focal point. And it's like I don't know. There's some value like in and it's not like doesn't have to be like a total criticism on LeBron, but like I feel like in a way like he made the NBA like look and people just like reward him for oh yeah he put up all his numbers but they lost and it's like you look at the Lakers this season it's like I guess he decided to make the point like I need to score to like do all that but it's like you got Russell Westbrook like is LeBron if LeBron's like an A+ being like point guard ball in his hand guy and Russell Westbrook is an A guy. But Russ is like a C- off the ball guy, but LeBron can be a B+ off the ball. Like you
yeah,
need to let Russ be the point guard, and you need to sacrifice. But it's the whole team just falls apart, and I feel like that's just all over the NBA now. It's just people don't sacrifice, people don't like it's all about awards and accolades, and it's unfair because it got to the point now where people don't even talk about Timmy. He does all that. Tony, Monty, they all sacrifice their own accolades and awards, and there's like they don't get that recognition in the like at the end of the day, like in like who was a better player, who's like a winner.
I honestly think it'll start to even itself out. I mean, like you got all these other teams that are playing a different way, and because of that, part of it's kind of good. Like I mean, you look at the playoffs and it's like you don't really know who's going to win, right? There's not like a
Yeah,
head and shoulders. Maybe it's a team like Boston who's smacking up on a talented group. They're a high seed, and you can see them making like a real strong just push straight to the end. And then obviously like the defending champs or whatever. But like I don't know, it's like every team kind of has question marks, and you can see their windows being kind of short. Like everybody's
yeah,
windows can be kind of short. So like I think it'll kind of even itself out of like the teams that do those things are going to be the ones that find sustained success. And
Hmm.
so
yeah,
it's like,
And
go ahead.
even like you're talking about Golden State and all that kind of stuff. You look at Phoenix. Phoenix is doing the same stuff. Like that's the whole thing that I was saying was like DeAndre Ayton could like get paid by Phoenix and just be okay with his role, because they're winning basketball. Like they're literally just winning basketball when DeAndre Ayton could do more, but he's not. and he's okay with it.
I would say Phoenix is on the turning point to see if they're going to be headed that way, because right now their window is short too. Imagine if they
Yeah.
kind of fall off next year. That means their window is what, 3 years? You know what I
But
mean?
I'm just saying, like for this year specifically, those guys bought into this team play to not seeing,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, like yes, at the end of the day, you're gonna have the ball in Devin Booker's hands, you're gonna have the ball in Chris Paul's hands, but you know, there are also times when Chris Paul and Devin Booker will let these guys that have been going off to continue to
And that's how you have a successful season in response to going to the NBA Finals and not like taking a step back. So kudos to them, but they for sure are on a tipping point right now with who they're going to have to pay and how they're going to try to prolong that window or whatever.
And then even even on the east side, the reason why Miami's number 1 seed is because they all buy into this culture and this team, and it's not it's the Jimmy Butler show every single day. It's if Jimmy's not on it, then these guys are going to step up because Jimmy knows that, you know, and then he'll facilitate and he'll not, you know, shoot and kind of stuff like that. And
so it just blows my mind that we give the blueprint in 2014, like just play team ball. Like LeBron, he throws up 35 points, 7 and 7, but it's like, all right, well, I guess let him play by himself, I guess.
Against the prime example too. It wasn't even like, it's not like 07 where it's like, they beat LeBron, but you could tell he's pretty young. And some people will tell you that 14 Wade wasn't 12 Wade or 11 or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, this is a team constructed with a goal in mind, and they were rolling through their thing. They're the defending champs, and it was no contest.
Yeah, and exactly. And it's like LeBron at his peak of everything, and you just, okay, I guess go play basketball by yourself. We're just going to play team ball and make sure nobody else goes off besides you, I guess. But then, like, all people look back at that series is like, well, LeBron did his job. It's like, well, we let him, like, I mean, obviously you're not letting him just get easy layups, but it's like, you know, you're the same way Golden State's playing Jokic. Like right now, it's like Jokic is gonna get you. He's gonna beat you like plays, but you don't let the whole team just run all over you. And at the end of the day, what is one guy gonna do? 20 points, 10 assists, 30 points, 10 assists. It's only gonna be 70 points if everybody else is just
And it's demoralizing. It's demoralizing to see LeBron James have to work so hard for a layup, and then on the opposite end, it's like Thiago Splitter or like Boris Diaw. You know what I mean? It's like it feels different.
And so I say all that because like Steph Curry, I do give him praise for like all the stuff he's like. It does feel like he's getting slighted, like even though he's so popular, blah blah blah. He does feel like he gets slighted in the way Tim Duncan does, because they're like, oh well, Steph doesn't have Finals MVPs. Steph has 0, and it's like, well, Steph is the whole reason like this team is where they are.
Winning.
Yeah, and for Tim Duncan not to win Finals MVP in 2007, for him not to get it, and like Tim Duncan could have easily said like, no, I'm not going to let Tony Parker run the show, and it probably could have been a longer series because we have to force feed Tim Duncan every play instead of letting Tony be able to just run around and do whatever he wants. And instead, Timmy had no problem, and he got 5 rings to show for it. And yet, it's
he's like, let me just take this sweep and go on vacation already.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was like, we won a championship. Like but like people use that against him. It's like, well, Tony won a Finals MVP, Kawhi won a Finals MVP. It could have been Tim Duncan like being selfish and saying like, give me the ball, and then we don't win those rings. We don't go that far. And I don't know, Magic and Kareem like were played together. They have like Magic won 5 championships. He didn't do everything every time. I don't know, Steph.
But I will
slight
Magic and Kareem for that.
I guess, but it's like Steph. Steph does all this, and I give him praise for that. Now I don't need him winning anymore because he's got 3 rings. If he wins one more this year, he'll be at 4. Like I don't need him getting close to 5. Like I don't.
I can take Steph winning his 4th ring like 4 or 5 years from now, like when he's an old man. And then he's like, dang, look at this cool, like Steve Kerr's last ride or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't need anybody ever getting close to 5 rings because to this day, I'll say nobody in this generation is better than Kobe and Tim. Those guys got 5 rings, and Kobe had Shaq for a 3-peat. And who's better than Shaq? Like in this gen, like I don't know.
And Pau Gasol and prime Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
that's like the other thing for me is just like no one. Like, there's not a lot of people that are Kobe Bryant. There's not a lot of people that are Kobe Bryant. Not everybody in the world can say I'm going to put 35 on you a night, for 16 games, to get like my 16 wins. You know what I mean? Like Kobe was special in that way. Like he was different in that way, and not everybody can do that. Not everyone can be that first option that scores almost every single bucket for you while not, like having like the whole
Yes.
team ball aspect like that,
And there's those periods of time with the Lakers where Kobe was like, "Well, I'm the guy," and he didn't like let other people like
Yeah,
show up and
and
take
those are
the
the
reins.
dark years. Those are
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
which
those are the
which
and
yeah.
non-playoff years.
and like he kicked Shaq out of town, and I don't know, it's like all that same stuff, but yet he still has winning to show for it. So that's why I think it's like yeah, you can win
If
that way. It
if
happens.
anything, Kobe and like somewhat LeBron, but Kobe mainly is like the only exception to the rule.
Well,
you know?
I don't think it's the exception because it happens, but it's like to have success, dynasty, 20 years of it, like I don't know, like the blueprints, it's there, and yet people they don't. Any all this stuff was just like off of like the playoff talk. I'm just kind of like running down the West. I talked about the Golden State series, Phoenix, Utah, and the Minnesota Memphis game is what I'm like most intrigued by. I want Memphis to lose. I just cannot stand them. They talk so much trash, and they're so corny, like in their the way they talk, like they're underdogs, blah blah blah, and they're the second seed in the West, and
Yeah, they
it's
can't
like
talk like they're underdogs when they're the second seed.
they
That was my only thing.
they just I don't know, they're annoying, and Minnesota is as well. As far as the East, it's been cool to see DeMar get like a couple of or like have like the one good game and like got like a couple of bad games and like them like dogging them. And I guess Zach Levine's been like playing a little rough as well. So like as far as like Spurs outlook, like do we want to sign a guy like that who I mean they're going against Milwaukee, the defending champ. It's not like they got like a easy like matchup or whatever, but that I haven't really cared at all about the Miami Atlanta series. I have not watched a single game about
Other
that
than
one.
Trey's just been getting locked up, man. Trey has just not been
Well,
able to do.
I saw Kyle Lowry like clothesline Trey Young and like throw him to the ground like on game one or something like that. And then
Like, okay.
so if that's what they're doing to him, then I don't know. Miami's culture is different. They're built different down there. What are the other series in the East like besides those two?
It's the
You got
It's the
Boston,
Philly
Brooklyn.
Oh
Toronto, which
yeah,
yeah, and the Boston Brooklyn, which both of those
th-
are one's 3-1 and one's 3-0.
I saw one game against the Philly Toronto game. I think it was game 3, and it was just like they were just showing like all the people who are out for Toronto, and I was like, this is just so not fair. Like,
Yeah,
and Philly wasn't even that impressive.
they had to work real hard to not get swept the other day.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I saw Thaddeus Young drop Joel
Oh
Drop
yeah,
Embiid though.
Joel.
and
That was
during that
pretty good.
game, even though they won, Van Vliet got hurt.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. So yeah,
See,
poor Toronto, and I don't know. It's
that was
rough.
that was my only thing. Oh, what do you have to say about Boston, Brooklyn? If you've like
So
seen any.
that's the one that I guess I have been keeping up the most with because like Derek White and Patty Mills, and I we were at for Easter, we were watching that game all together, me, Josh, and Chris, and we saw the Jason Tatum buzzer beater live. That was that was unreal.
Yeah.
And I was like mowing the lawn and like eating, and so I was watching some of the one game where like Derek White had like 3 fouls in the first quarter, and I missed the whole second half because I had to like go out and finish the yard. But like everything that I saw was just like you would like the in the past, Boston's problem has been like they're so centered on Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown, and they're just like kind of ball stopper, ball hogs in a way, like not efficient passers. And for some reason, you would think that would be like what this series is just Kevin Durant and Kyrie versus Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. But like Boston is just like running circles around these guys, and it takes like stretches of like some like Boston letting them like kind of hang around, but like Kyrie Irving like either going off or Kevin Durant having some like freaking 20 free throws in a game. And it's like that's what's keeping them in these games. It's literally just skill and like talent. And they're clearly not like equivalent, like team wise. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
They're getting thrown around, which it's not fair because like I do feel like you add Ben. Chris talked about that. I think on that playoff episode, like you add Ben Simmons to that trio, and it's like I could see him fixing so many of the problems that team has. And in the playoffs, if all three of those guys are playing 40 minutes, then yeah, like you don't need everybody else to show up. You got
Yeah.
three stars, and
Well, they said that their plan was for him to play Game 4, so that we'll see. I mean, if they're gonna,
I think
I
it's too late now. I think he's
yeah,
gonna get.
yeah.
I would wait. I mean, it sucks. It sucks because you're having to just push their future, whatever you hope that team's going to be, down another year. You know what I mean? Like when
Yeah.
you sign him, and you signed Kevin Durant in the year that you knew he wasn't even going to play. So like
Yeah.
they've just been having to keep pushing it back. From my point of view, I don't give a damn. Y'all just keep pushing it back again and again and
Yeah.
again until it
I
never
agree.
works out. I mean, but I mean, for them, I understand the frustrations
Yeah.
of it all.
Yeah, no, I really hope that that Jason Tatum and the Celtics can like close it out because
I feel bad for Patty though.
I feel
do.
bad for Patty, and especially because Patty had a good night last night. I think last night, right? Like they played yesterday.
Patty left us to go and chase a ring, and when you are a rebuilding team, there's growing pains and things that you have to learn to deal with. And when you're a team that is selling away certain parts of your team and making sacrifices on the other end to try to win right now, there's other things that you have to deal with, and that's what he's dealing with right now. So like,
Yeah, but it's still
it's the life that he chose.
it's the thing for me where I was just like, well, Patty was still putting up solid numbers, doing Patty things. I think there was only one time where he accidentally brought Derek White into like Kevin Durant's space. KD got mad at Patty, but like Patty does nothing wrong for Brooklyn, so it's just like, yeah, to see him get put into that situation. This guy didn't know that he was going to
That's what he asked for.
Well,
Yeah,
he went.
he has to be that low on the depth chart and to come in and try to make things happen for a team that's already rolling. And
I wanted Patty to go to Milwaukee because I know Bryn Forbes didn't play like that much like in the finals or everything like that. But I was just thinking like if Patty just took that role
yeah,
on
right.
the Buck and then
Mhm.
like he's freaking post or like he's posting up on the 3-point line for freaking Giannis, like doing all that stuff. I'd be so happy for him.
Yeah,
And
being their energy guy, and it's like you don't
Yeah.
even you don't even get a chance to get to any of that part of his game
It's
with
all right.
where they're at.
If I'm not mistaken, Patty only signed a 1 year deal anyway, so he'll come off of Brooklyn next year and just be like, okay, I'm gonna go find.
We'll give him Joe Weisskamp's money.
There
yeah.
you go. Right. That's cool. Do you have anybody that you see going all the way, Juan? Like,
Right now, like Giannis is like I think he's just that guy. I think they'll survive Chicago without Chris Middleton. I don't know who they would see in the second round.
Boston.
Boston.
That's where yeah. See, so
whoever comes out of that series, I got going to the finals. Because I've liked what I've seen from Boston.
yeah. I last week or 2 weeks ago last week when we did the playoff episode, I was just like, yeah, it's gonna be Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee's going back to back this year. Like I was saying that's like my title favorites. Chris Middleton coming out like being injured makes it a lot harder for me to say that they're gonna get past Boston because that's like especially with how good Boston's been.
They don't get a chance. It's not like they're up 2-1 and Boston is locked in a 2-2 or something like that, or you know what I mean. It's like Boston's going to be just sitting there waiting on them. So
Exactly. So it's a thing for me where I'm like, man, like that's a lot harder for me to say that like Milwaukee's now still my title favorites. I'm not gonna change that prediction because that was pre-playoffs kind of thing, and I don't like to like change predictions like during the playoffs. But it's a thing where now I'm just gonna say like I'm not gonna be surprised if Boston wins, and then in turn makes them the title favorites for me.
yeah, they got it's always a mixture, right, of like who you got on your roster, but also like how it's going right now, and so Boston's got a lot of momentum on top of all that.
And if they can get past the Milwaukee in the second round, I assume that they see Miami in the third, and that's like I could still see Boston being able to like hold it down and beat the likes of Jimmy and Bam. So
yeah, I in as far as like a finals matchup, I guess like prediction, I don't know. I was thinking like a rematch. I know you guys talked about it a little bit.
Milwaukee
Rematch from last
Phoenix.
year, and if not, it's Golden State going all the way. I don't know. I don't want Golden State. I don't want anybody to win because anybody that wins, it's not
Yeah.
the Spurs, right? But like I like definitely like am not opposed to Milwaukee repeating, but I just don't want like to hear like a lot of the Giannis like is the greatest power forward of all time takes because like Timmy has 5 rings and Timmy literally has done all this stuff and he did everything in the first 8 years
But he's
as
never
well.
repeated one.
I know, and so like that type of stuff is just like I'm not about. And but I don't want Golden State to win. I don't really want Phoenix to win.
Golden State's got like a pretty now that they're up three, especially now that they're up 3-0 on Memphis, like you can see them at least making it to the conference finals like pretty
Yeah,
easily.
yeah, and so that's kind of just where I'm at. I don't want like anything that's gonna I guess what do they say like threaten Timmy's legacy. You know what I mean? And so that's just kind of where I'm at as far as that. Like I don't think I don't think it really matters. I don't think anybody that wins this year is going to threaten 5 championships. But like that's just where I'm at.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad I was able to get your playoff predictions. But yeah, I think that wraps up our San Antonio Spurs season. You know, you got to hear our all four of our playoff prediction kind of stuff from last week and into this week. Guys, do y'all have like any final things on the season, on playoffs, anything like that before I start wrapping this up?
I'm good.
I mean, just that it was it was a fun year covering the Spurs again. Just talking Spurs with you guys. There were certain things that we wanted to do for this year that we did get a chance to kind of mess around with. There were some things that we wanted to do this year that we never really even put into motion. So I know Jake's going to be experimenting a little bit. Also, like Jake, you're going into like you're coming towards the end of your freshman year of college already, which is crazy.
Hmm.
So you're going to be doing more and more and more like with technology and trying to figure out more of that part of it. So I'm excited to use this channel and this show like as a way to help get you better and vice versa. I think that you'll make the channel better. I think we'll all try to make the channel better. I'm happy for the growth that we've had. I think we've kind of just basically averaged almost like one new follower per basketball game, right? And so just to see like our Twitter thing go up a little bit. Getting a chance to do at least one collaboration this year was fun.
Yep.
We were able to see a little bit of boost of our numbers through that as well. So like we never really been too hard on the pushing ourselves out there and like really trying to like promote ourselves. We just get together and we talk, right? And so for anybody who has checked in and has subscribed and has made us a part of you watching or paying attention to basketball in any kind of way, like it's fun. And I know I appreciate it. So and just to be able to kind of kick it with you guys has been good too. So it's been good. I'm excited for season 3 HHC.
Yeah,
Yep.
me too, man. Me
Well,
too. Well,
a
yeah, I
lot of
think I
fun.
Chris used a lot of the words that I was gonna say, man. So this last season has been great for us. It has been wonderful, and we're all just huge basketball fans, huge San Antonio Spurs fans. So it's definitely a thing for us that like I'm super happy, super blessed that I get to do a thing like this with my brothers on a week to week basis, and I was just super happy, super excited for this year because it's you know like Chris said, this was my first year in college. I was just finishing up my freshman year, and so I mean, you can always have your ups and downs and stuff like that. So being able to have this consistent week to week thing that I would do every Sunday morning with my brothers was just always a good thing for me, and it always made my mind feel a lot better because I was able to just enjoy watching basketball and talking basketball with my brothers. So uh, this season has been really fun and very very exciting thing to do for this year. And then also, like Chris was saying, we're going to be adding things. We're going to be doing a lot more things. I'm going to be having this trying to figure out a working title right now, but going to be having a fun little off-season podcast that might be talking about basketball, might be just doing whatever. But I plan to be having something that I'll do over the summer every week, just like how I do how we do the HHC podcast. And obviously throughout those weeks, we'll be having like our draft episodes, or we'll be having whatever it is, whatever the case may be for the off season with the Spurs, whenever news happens for us.
Yeah, so stick around.
Exactly. Stick around and still follow us on Twitter at Heroes Half Court, because I'm sure we still will be talking with the Spurs community throughout the offseason. And hopefully we can have a lot of fun offseason things. But, with that, guys, I think we had a wonderful season, season 2 of HHC. Like Chris said, I can't wait for season 3 to come in because we're definitely just going to be doing bigger and better things for us. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, guys, I hope y'all have a wonderful and a blessed day. And we are out.
Unblock my boy, DJ.